It is 6:01. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. Frank Reich, the new head coach of the Carolina Panthers. He is now the team's sixth head coach. He was the starting quarterback for the first game in Carolina Panthers history in 1995. His previous stop as head coach, the Indianapolis Colts. The New York Jets have hired Nathaniel Hackett as their next offensive coordinator. It's Nathaniel. You know what I was doing there. The Jets also hired former Titans offensive line coach Keith Carter, who was fired at the end of this previous season. He will be the line coach / running game coordinator. Women's hoops, number 5 UConn defeated Tennessee 84-67. Number 23 MTSU beat FAU 63-48 and to the ice. Plenty of scoring last night at Bridgestone Arena. Predators 6, Devils 4. Matt Duchene had a goal and an assist. The Preds have won 3 in a row and 5 of their last 6. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Friday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. It is Friday, and we plan on acting like it. Whatever in the world that means. Welcome to Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, where the center of the basketball universe stays in Knoxville, Tennessee. We talk conference championship weekend in the AFC and the NFC, and probably a lot of things in between, because as previously stated, it's Friday and we're going to act like it.
Whoa!
Alongside 11-year NFL veteran Ramon Foster,
the
journalist whose J is always capitalized, Kayla Anderson, and the best producer in the world, Jonathan Schaefer.
The best producer in the world!
I'm Will Bowling. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are we?
Good.
We're good, Will. We're real good.
You look
We've
like a
got
Build-A-Bear
Build-A-Bear
again,
over here.
We do got Build-A-Bear back today. And you know what?
Excuse me. Wait. You mean the granny?
What are we talking about?
The granny lover here?
Oh, no. That's one label I will not accept right there.
So get ready for those
Absolutely
grannies
not.
to come out today, Ramon.
Oh,
You driving by a senior center today, Ramon?
No, y'all gonna...
Nice, bro.
No, absolutely not.
Did you sign up for geriatric spin
Whoa,
class?
Schaefer.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. What is wrong with y'all today, man?
It's Friday, so we're acting like it.
Okay, that's fair.
Geez.
Just know that the pendulum will swing.
That's what he wore last time we had this conversation, so
It was
I had
something
to bring
similar.
it up.
I
You
like
got the
this
watch
shirt.
on?
Yeah.
Do have.
It's
Reflection.
so fresh. It's
Nice
the
watch,
clank.
guy. Yeah, it's Friday, so I put the decent one on.
Decent. Decent for me was
We
getting
will
like
not go into details on
getting
that.
like a fossil watch that was $40 when I was in
I
middle
used
school.
to love fossil watches.
I thought those were so cool.
They
yeah.
were. We're not gonna minimize fossil
Okay.
watches, okay? Like they were the stuff, man. And I was all about a nice fossil watch.
Of course.
When did you get into watches like that? Do you
Actually, I'm still not into
You're
watches.
still
Me
not
either,
into
I
watches?
was
Well,
never a watch guy. Yeah.
Me either.
I've got the Apple Watch, but that's about all I'll ever do.
For real? That's right. I was like, why you got your watch on your right hand? You're a lefty.
He's
I'm a
lefty.
lefty.
He's a lefty.
Mhm.
I got into watches early, just like the idea of them.
Well, what's
I don't know.
early,
The
though?
idea
Like
of-
when
what
you're
does that
3?
Oh,
And you're,
like
like,
high
wearing a-
school, I had like a
Well,
Casio.
Okay.
Like just
Oh, yeah,
really
so
like
early.
yeah, like it became normal for me to like wear a watch. I always thought like when you become older, you're supposed to have a watch on.
But do you actually utilize it the way that it needs to be
Oh
utilized?
yeah, absolutely. Like I had,
It's not just an accessory like,
No.
hey, here's my bling, like I
No.
look cool.
I had, like-
feel good.
I feel good on my mama, on my hook. Oh, I thought we was gonna ride with me. It's not Friday to him yet. Okay, never mind.
6:05 in the morning.
It's early. Okay. But no, I had like a super fancy one, like a diamond studded bezel one. And it just wasn't functional. Like it was functional, but like it drew too much attention.
Well,
and then I
clearly.
was just like,
The function wasn't telling time.
Right.
yeah, exactly.
You know what? I am stunned that a watch that had diamonds in it drew attention to it.
Well, see, I didn't like that type of attention either. So I was just more or less like, yeah, Mom, that's not your style. Get rid of it. And I know a bunch of guys that have like really diamond, like studded watches, like flooded with it. And every single time I look at it, I was like, well, let me check your watch out. The clock ain't even working.
Oh my God.
No lie. Like the crown is
What
not
is
pushed in.
that?
One of the dudes I knew was working out in God, dog, this is so sad. One of the dudes was working out in the weight room. I'm talking about with a fully diamond encrusted Audemars Piguet. Just
I don't know what that
flooded
is.
with diamonds.
He acts like we know what any of these
No
brands
idea
are.
what that
Well,
is.
I'm gonna learn y'all. I'm gonna learn you now.
You're gonna learn me?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna catch you
You're
up
gonna
to
teach
it.
me.
Bill the Bear's
Either way,
teaching
you're gonna
moment.
learn something.
Oh, my
But
goodness.
I go up to him, I was like, man, that watch is cold. Grab it. The crown ain't even in. If he had gone into like the whirlpool or the hot tub or something, he'd have flooded the watch out and everything. Like it'd have been
Okay.
useless.
I would
at
hope
that
you
point.
That
wouldn't
is
do that.
ridiculous.
Because
Watch
it's,
that
they're
nice.
waterproof, but they're only waterproof if you push and twist the crown in and tighten
Oh,
it.
God.
It's crazy. Another one was the
Tighten up.
Rolex. Just like crazy. Just
Well, I know what that is.
diamond studded and everything too. Same exact thing. Clock not working because he hadn't worn it
I
in
can't
a
do
long
that.
time.
Yeah, right.
And the crown wasn't in again. I'm like, y'all gonna flood these watches out, man. What are y'all doing?
It's about as relatable as Buck's bottle service in
well,
college.
at least my job justified it. I mean, I wasn't getting improper benefits in
It was
college.
your money.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I always just had running watches.
Running?
Honestly, like I had like the Nike GPS watch. 'Cause
Yeah.
you need to have GPS watches to know how far you were going.
Or
Yeah.
the Garmin's.
Yeah, I had a Garmin. I didn't
Garmin.
like the Garmin ones.
Those
Did you-
are intense and they're huge.
Big, yeah. They're bulky, aren't they?
They discontinued the Nike one when I was in high school, and they just like didn't make them anymore. And it made me so mad. And then I lost it at a meet in Smyrna, and that was all she wrote for the GPS.
You
watch.
lost to Smyrna?
No, I lost my GPS watch in Smyrna.
Oh. Man.
Wait, we weren't losing at Smyrna. What are you
Oh,
talking
for real?
And I love that Ramon says Smyrna.
Smyrna?
I love
Smirnoff.
I can't get that
Smirnoff.
word right for nothing.
Ramon and I have
man.
called 2 Smyrna games, so we had to like it was before.
Oh my God.
Smyrna.
We've called
Smyrna.
2 of the 3 games I've called with Ramon before the game. I'm like, all right, say it with me, Smyrna.
Smyrna.
Smyrna. Say sma, say and say na. And he's like, Smyrna. I'm like, nope,
Oh,
that's
God.
not it. Sma,
Smear is nowhere to be found.
smir, no. He's like, Smyrna. And then he goes, Smyrna.
Yeah. And what's crazy is the fact that if I wasn't expecting it to be said like properly, I'd just say Smyrna. See?
It's probably not as bad
That
as Buck
worked.
calling it
That was
Lebanon,
it right
though.
there.
If you
Lebanon.
don't think a lot of the names though here in Tennessee that I've realized when I arrived here 6 years ago is you gotta just say them fast.
Lafayette.
Because if you do too much in terms of thinking, you're gonna say it wrong.
Yeah.
That's right.
Smyrna.
Lafayette, Tennessee.
There it is.
Lebanon.
So which one is it? Lafayette?
No, it's Lafayette.
Lafayette.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it
Not
wrong.
Lafayette?
No, of course not.
Lafayette.
Yeah.
Huh.
What? I mean, that's
Nothing.
That's
No.
Well, I
Nothing.
said Lafayette when I first came
You say
down
Lafayette,
here.
too?
When I first came down here.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a
Then they
common
were like,
mistake.
no.
Milan?
We allow it. Yeah, Milan. That's out towards your neck of the woods.
Yeah, it is. That's why I was just wondering, like, have I been saying that wrong too?
Me have some of
Milo.
that Cool Whip. What do you say? You can't have a pie without Cool Whip. Cool Whip? Cool Whip, yeah. You mean Cool Whip? Yeah, Cool Whip. Cool Whip. Cool Whip. Cool Whip. Cool Whip. You're saying it weird. Why are you putting so much emphasis on the H? What are you talking about? I'm just saying it. Cool Whip. You put Cool Whip on pie.
That is
Smyrna.
that is awesome.
I love that skit.
It's fantastic.
Smyrna.
Okay,
you had it
you
right
know
the first
what it
time.
was. Don't even
Smyrna.
go. Well, he knew it. He was doing it
Yeah.
on purpose.
I did because that's usually how
It's
it's said.
Iamaliava.
Iamali, I got that one.
That
We're
was
good on that one.
Shelbyville. That's right, Cuzzo.
Shelbyville.
Shelbyville. You have to say that
Shelbyville?
real quick. No,
Shelbyville.
And it's not
Shovelful.
Shelby.
It's
it's like you got
shovelful.
marbles. Shelbyville.
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 Yeah,
Shelbyville.
There you
All
go.
right, try to say Shelbyville with your tongue as far back in your mouth as
Shelbyville.
possible. Phrasing.
Shelbyville.
Shelbyville.
Shovelful.
There's no Ville. It's not Louisville.
Shovelful.
Shelbyville.
Which that's Louisville. But
Vol.
It's Louisville, yeah.
yeah, right. So
Say it like
Shelbyville.
Vol.
Same
Vol.
thing.
V-U-L.
Same thing you're doing with Louisville, but then put a Shelby.
It
at the
sounds
beginning
like
of
we're
it.
saying shovel then.
It's not.
Shovelville.
There you go.
Ain't no way that's
Yes, it
correct,
is.
man.
The way you say
Yes,
it.
it is.
Absolutely not, y'all.
Yes, it is. This is
I'm
Tennessee,
looking
and we're
it
going
up.
to act like it.
This is Shelbyville. Like, come on, man.
Shelbyville.
Shelbyville.
There you go.
It sounds like
Shelbyville.
There you go.
Chevy Coupe de Ville or Caddy Coupe de Ville is what it sounds like. It sounds like Coupe de Ville.
We lived in Maryville when I was growing up for 1 year. We quickly learned it was not Maryville.
Right?
not.
Marvel.
So I see
Like,
Marvel, right?
That's when Maryville plays like a Middle Tennessee high school football team in the state championship. People hear like, and 1st and 10 for Maryville. It's Maryville.
I hate
Really, there it's more like Merville. But
Marvel.
we didn't go that far.
Marvel.
Maryville.
This morning on learning how to say the cities in the state of Tennessee, it's Will.
Kayla, everyone. What
I
about
could do an
which one is
instructional
another
video.
one?
Hi and welcome to saying the state of Tennessee.
You know what's a fact, though, guys?
What's
Me
that?
being in local news for most of my career, one positive in terms of the weather, because weather always drives me crazy, because most of the times they're screwing it up. But not everybody, but some people.
Yeah.
I at least learned how to pronounce everything right away, because if the weather people get it wrong, oh no,
They hear it.
they're in trouble.
Really?
So I always ask the weather people. That's the first people I go to when I get to a new market. Okay, how do you say all this?
Yeah. What about what's the other one in Easton? Is it Ottawa? How do you say?
Ottawa.
Ottawa.
That's where one of my best friends is from.
Ottawa.
College, right?
That's
Outside
how you say-
Chattanooga.
I never knew how to say
Ottawa.
that. Ottawa.
What is it good for?
You know what the nickname of their high school is?
What?
The Owls.
The Owls?
Ottawa Owls.
Ottawa Owls. That's awesome, man. It's Ottawa, Shelbyville. And see, Jonathan Collins said, I lived here my whole life.
Uh-huh.
It is Shelbyville.
No, it's not.
Shelbyville.
What the? All right.
That's what
It's not.
Jonathan Collins said in our
It's not.
YouTube chat.
It's
You
on
catch
the
us.
internet, so it must be true, I guess.
It must be true.
No.
Murfreesboro.
Coming up next, Brian Rice, the voice of the Lady Vols, will join us. We'll get his thoughts on last night's Tennessee-Connecticut game in Thompson Bowling Arena. Talk a little bit of Tennessee, Texas with him as well. Also this morning, Rocky Boiman at 7:20. Lots to discuss in the NFL as a head coaching hire is made and conference championship weekend is right around the corner. But we talk Tennessee and Connecticut plus UT and Texas. Notice I said UT and Texas. With our guy Brian Rice coming up next as we begin a fun Friday edition. I think we can already tell. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Oh, my God. It's Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson here on behalf of Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Listen to us. They are the heating and cooling company that can take care of all your HVAC needs. Kayla, they will do almost anything for you, whether it's service your unit, get your replacement unit, or just simply be the people you can rely on if there is an issue.
Yeah, that's right, Ramon. And look, we went to dinner with these fine folks just about 3 weeks ago and met their entire family. And that's the biggest thing about Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. It is a family-owned company. They have been in business for over 10 years. Now, when it comes to their service, you might ask, how do they get it all done? Well, they deliver all the service that the bigger corporate guys offer, but with the delivery and friendliness of family, of course. And here's the other thing. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling responds promptly to issues and gets those problems resolved quickly and accurately. And the biggest thing is they told us firsthand, they're not going anywhere. They're here to stay.
Absolutely. And also, if you need repair work, they offer free service calls with their repairs, plus low monthly payments on them, too. For all of your HVAC needs, reach out to SpringHillHeatingandCooling.com.
on the free throw line or allow second chance points. How do you address that with your team in the locker room?
How do I address it? How do I address it? You don't address it. This is what you get when you come down here. The game was called one way and then changed. Nope, nothing else changed. We didn't change. Nothing else changed.
Thank you, Coach.
Oh, goodness. There's Gino Auriemma yesterday as Connecticut beats Tennessee in Thompson Bowling Arena 84-67. And there are many of you who are raised like me listening to the sound of my voice right now whose blood pressure just went up hearing that guy talk. Alongside Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling as we go to the Marks Payne Real Estate Hotline and check in with our friend Brian Rice, the voice of the Tennessee Lady Vols. And Brian, what was that like hearing that through your headset last night at halftime of this game?
I don't know if anybody's seen the clip, but at the very end, the camera pans to me, and you can see me just staring blankly at him.
Yeah.
You know, here's the thing. Women's sports is better when the Tennessee-Connecticut rivalry is being played. I think it's better for everybody, but it comes with a side effect of Gino Auriemma coming to your town and saying things. And just, like, after that interview, so he then storms off, and I look at Holly Rowe, and I've known Holly for a very long time through softball, and we just kind of looked at each other like, yep, that just happened. So he acts like a petulant child sometimes. That's no surprise. That's no news to anybody, but he did that last night, and it worked for him. In the second half, the whistle changed a little bit back in his favor, and the fouls ended up pretty even. The free throws ended up even. I don't think necessarily the way that it was called in the second half benefited Tennessee, but you have to credit UConn. They're a really good team, and they shoot absolutely lights out. Yep. They've done it all season, and they did it last night. And even when they were well defended by Tennessee, you've got five players that can score like they can. You have to pick your poison, and unfortunately, that led to Connecticut winning the first and third quarters decisively last night, and that was enough to get it done.
Yeah, and Brian, it's just the entire. Honestly, Holly Rowe, by the way, has gotten pretty bad responses from coaches at halftime. Right? 2 straight trips to Knoxville, but it's just incredible. That's what you get down here, right? And the attitude of this was Gino's first time back in Knoxville in quite some time with fans in the seats and with that raucous environment. I saw that environment in College Game Day leading up to the game. I felt like it was one of the best environments that building has seen in this entire year, with a lot of the talk about the men's team just hasn't really played a lot of big-time opponents in that building so far this year.
Yeah, and it was, they've had 2 games with the students really in town this year, and that was Georgia the other night, Wednesday night, and then Connecticut last night. I came down from the Chancellor had a reception at 6:30, and I came down right at 7 as as College Game Day was getting ready to start, and the place was almost full already. Like the entire lower bowl, the students, everybody showed up for College Game Day, and it was a great, impressive showing by Tennessee fans, and it showed what this team and what this game still means to people, and I was very rewarded to see that, and I wish the team could have gotten off to a better start, because the second quarter, Tennessee holds Connecticut to 7 points. The fans were a big part of that. The obviously Tennessee team was a big part of that, but he held them to 7 points, pulled it, made it a 4-point game, made it a 2-point game at one point, and then a 4-point game at the halftime break. The fans played a huge role in it. It was a great environment, and I think it showed people again what Tennessee and what Thompson Bowling Arena can be.
Brian, I on my couch as I'm sitting there watching Gino go off like this, I'm saying to myself, my mouth drop, okay? Like, is he allowed to say this? Are coaches allowed to say this without getting fines? I know in the NFL and pro sports that's not the case, but it clearly worked and he went away with it.
Oh, if he's an SEC coach this morning, then the conference is sending him a fine. Will the Big East do that for a game that wasn't even technically their officials? I don't know. I would be surprised, because he's Gino and they're the Big East and they need him more than he needs them. But here's the thing, though. The funny thing about criticizing officials and saying, well, you get the whistle when you come down here, it's not. This isn't football where you have SEC officials and Big East officials and ACC officials. College basketball officials do multiple conferences. Most of these officials, and it's my biggest complaint with officiating in men's basketball and women's basketball, is these officials are doing 4 games a week. They're doing 4 games in 3 conferences. So if you're saying this is an SEC crew, yeah, we've seen all 3 of those officials this year. We've also seen, I believe one of them was up on the road at Ohio State. Another one we saw down in the Bahamas. These officials work multiple conferences. So saying that the SEC was biased in favor of Tennessee is just not accurate when you're talking basketball. And it gave him a talking point. It gave him a rallying point to go into his team at halftime. I don't care what he told Holly. He went in and talked about the things that Tennessee did better in the second quarter to limit them to a season low for points in a quarter. Okay, that's what he talked about. But he used that as a rallying cry. Oh, we're going to have to overcome all of this. And it worked. They heard it. They had to have heard it. And it changed the whistle a little bit. I'm going to be fired up forever about the call late in the third quarter where Rakia Jackson is pulled down to the ground by the Connecticut player, held down, and then kicked twice, and somehow it's a double foul.
Yep.
And they initially went to the monitor to see if it was a flagrant foul on Rakia. And I'm sitting there trying to overhear the officials looking at the monitor, and I'm like, are we even living on the same planet? So that one call is one that I will never get over. She gets kicked twice, and it's a double foul on her. Come on.
Yeah, that's insane, man. As far as the Lady Vols play go, early in the game when, UConn jumped 31 points in the first quarter, like Kelly's ability to get those girls to either respond, call a timeout, or adjust to those transition threes. Like, where was that at in her game planning of stopping the beast that they are? Because UConn, they're good.
Yeah, they're really, really good. And that's the problem is you have to pick your poison in stopping. And they only had 8 players dressed last night. They only played 7. One played less than 2 minutes. The other played 10. You know what 5 you're going to have to stop.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it any easier because they can all score from every point on the floor. In the pregame meal, they're going over the scouting report one last time. And the players, Tennessee's players individually have a player that they present. And it's all, and she can hit the 3. And she can hit the 3. And so then you have a player down low that is 6'5". Okay, she's 6'5". Oh, and by the way, she hit 2 threes last night.
Yeah.
You don't have an answer for the 6'5", and if you double her, somebody that can hit a shot is going to be open. They're an incredibly tough team. I don't know. I don't have any idea how Maryland beat them, but this is a Connecticut team that, when focused, and they're always going to be focused on Tennessee, is so hard to game plan for because you can't defend all 5 of them everywhere straight up. There's nobody in the country except maybe South Carolina that can say, we're going to go man with our 5 on your 5 and win that matchup at 3 out of the 5 positions. South Carolina can do it. I don't think anybody else can.
The Lady Vols' biggest test in SEC play so far this season, because they are still undefeated in the SEC, is LSU coming up. And look, Kim Mulkey, we talk about Gino being a great head coach. I think Kim Mulkey has proven to be one of the best in the country as well. What is the challenge going to LSU for this Lady Vols team? And what can they kind of take from a challenge in facing a UConn team that was just right up there?
Well, I think it's hard to say that you have a positive, but the positive is you had the quarter where you held them to 7 points. You held your own in the fourth quarter. You were defeated last night by really 2 about 5-minute periods. Well, you can't have that. And Kelly Harper said that in the postgame last night. Against teams like this, you can't have any moment in the game where you're not fully invested and you have your full attention on everything they're doing every moment. And that's going to be the challenge on Monday night. LSU is not as talented top to bottom. They're as talented on the top end. They have a couple of players who really can fill it up, but also defend well and do all those little things. So you're going to have to go down to Baton Rouge on Monday. They've already announced a sellout, 13,000 tickets sold down there. Kim Mulkey, she mentioned, has been in the media talking about how she said yesterday, we shouldn't even be able to beat Tennessee. Come on, you're the number 3 team in the country.
Wow.
So she's trying to paint them as the underdog, and that's fine if that's the motivation. She's a very good head coach, but they are very top heavy. Her Baylor teams were very top heavy. You have if you can stop a couple of players, you're going to win the basketball game. The challenge is stopping those couple of players, and LSU's been filling it up. Defensively, it's going to be another challenge for Tennessee, but I do think it's a better matchup, certainly, than Connecticut was. Look, last night and Ohio State are the only two games all year that Tennessee hasn't been in. UCLA got away from them in the second half with a barrage of three-pointers, but every other game, including those against number 2 Stanford on the road, Indiana, who's now they're probably going to be the number 2 team in the country after beating Ohio State last night, and on, you've been right there with those other teams, and I think they rely back on that when they go down on Monday night and say, we can beat this team. And, oh, by the way, if you beat this team, it's you and South Carolina for an SEC championship the last week of February. That's what you want.
Yeah.
And that's all still on the table, regardless of what happened last night.
You're in so many of these environments, and I think women's basketball, the environments, they're getting so much better. The hype is there. The environment in terms of last night, we saw that. You were there firsthand. You know how South Carolina is. How cool is it to see the landscape growing in terms of women's basketball? And a lot of it's happening right here in the South.
Well, it's both rewarding and frustrating. If you're a Tennessee fan, it's frustrating because you're not running over everybody like you once did. But I mentioned this last night as speaking to a group. You look at the NCAA tournament last year, and there weren't as many upsets as in the men's tournament, but it was close. It was closer than it's ever been. There are more programs that have invested in women's sports and have seen a return on that, by the way. Schools aren't just investing in women's basketball, softball, volleyball, soccer because it's the right thing to do. They're seeing a financial return on that. They've sold 13,000 tickets at LSU this coming Monday. At Missouri last week, there were 5,000 in an arena that makes for an intimidating environment. You're seeing programs take these sports seriously. They're paying coaches that way. They're putting in recruiting budgets that way. They're traveling the right way. And then the local staffs are marketing them the right way to get those arenas full and to build their product. And it's very rewarding to see. I think Pat Summitt would love going on the road to South Carolina and seeing a sellout environment. Same thing for LSU. Pat Summitt would love going to the SEC tournament and seeing a gym that's not just full of Tennessee fans, because it was just the Tennessee Invitational for a long time. Now other fan bases actually travel to it. And that's what growing the game is about. That's what Pat was all about. That's what this rivalry with Connecticut was about, and why Tennessee traveled around the country to all these places to try to grow the game. Well, now you've seen the benefit of it. The negative that you have to play with competitively is now there are a bunch of teams that can beat you, and there are a bunch of teams out there that can beat anybody. It's going to be one of the most competitive marches ever in women's college basketball, and Tennessee's going to be a part of that. They just have to get it back, and in front of one of those environments you're talking about Monday night will be the next big opportunity.
Brian Rice from the Sports Animal, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Brian, switching gears to this Tennessee team taking on Texas tomorrow in Thompson-Boling Arena. They hold Georgia to their lowest offensive efficiency in a single game since 2005 earlier this week. Just how special is this defense in particular, and has your opinion of this team's ceiling changed at all over the past few weeks into SEC play?
It hasn't for me, because I think their ceiling is Final Four, because the way they defend and the way they rebound, the way that they get after teams and frustrate teams. You mentioned the defensive efficiency against Georgia. We had a caller that pointed this out yesterday. Go through Georgia's point totals this year and go through their point totals in losses. Every loss before Wednesday night, they were in the 70s or the 80s. And Tennessee held them to 41. And really, they held them to 39. They had a buzzer beater layup when Tennessee wasn't paying attention. So, but that travels and that plays in the tournament. You know, you look at teams that have success in the NCAA tournament and they play like Tennessee does. They frustrate you. They force you to hit some outside shots, and they give you no space. And that's why I think this Tennessee team is different than some teams in the past. They can do what teams that upset you in the NCAA tournament do? Does that mean that a poor shooting night won't be the Achilles heel for this team again? I can't say that. But I think they will defend well enough that even on nights when the shots aren't falling, they're going to have a chance to win in March, and that's important. And I think that's what the one thing that is holding fans back here is, well, they've underachieved in the postseason. At times, that's true. But I think the way this team plays, the way this team defends, I'm not as afraid of that happening in March for this team as I would have been really any other in the past. Their defense is next level, and they show it every single time out.
And Brian, it's interesting because there's been a lot of talk about that and a lot of talk about fans not being maybe as excited as they should be about this team. You and I both know that although those people have Twitter accounts, they're often not going to the games. Do you feel like the pendulum kind of swings the other direction for the best opponent that's been in Thompson Bowling Arena this season? And it just feels to me like we're going to get a pretty crazy environment tomorrow in Knoxville.
I think it helps that the students are back. You know, there was a student crowd against Kentucky, but the students were back on campus. It was a lot of local people. It was much smaller than normal. That's going to help the environment tremendously because they've changed things this year where the students are now on both ends instead of on one end and then up in the upper deck. And I give a lot of credit to Danny White and his staff for fixing that. You can't put students on the sideline the way some schools have it, just the way tickets have been promised for decades. But they've made that change, and I think it's going to help with the environment a tremendous amount this weekend. And again, when you bring a big opponent in, Tennessee fans show up and show out, and that's what they've done for decades. And I think that's what's going to happen on Saturday. This is a tremendously important game for national seeding. You want to prove that you're really a number one seed, that all the projections that have you on that seed line are correct. You got to win Saturday. Otherwise, it's a dark mark against you. It shouldn't be, because you should be rewarded for this being – this is the only top 25 matchup in the country this weekend. I was going back and doing some research for our pick segment on our show today. It's the only top 25 matchup in the country. Now, I realize that Tennessee didn't go out and set this. The SEC and the Big 12 set these matchups, but Tennessee wanted a big one, and they're going to get it. And they're wearing the sweet throwback uniforms.
Oh, yeah.
those
The
are
regular
cool.
uniform's already a throwback. You got to go way throwback, but those are going to be sweet. It's going to be a great environment, and it's going to be another chance for Tennessee to showcase itself nationally to a national TV audience.
Brian Rice, our guest this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Brian, appreciate the time on a quick turnaround from last night, and we will do it again soon.
Appreciate it, everybody. Have a great weekend, and go Vols, go Lady Vols.
Go Balls.
Thanks, Brian.
Love it. There's Brian Rice with us on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. And coming up next, I want to give you the details on these jerseys.
Threads.
The deets.
I'm willing to say this might be my favorite Tennessee uniform of the last 5 years.
You loved the Halloween one, though, for football.
You did.
I really did.
You loved that one.
Oh, you remember
I like
that?
this one better.
You like this one better?
Yeah, I like old school kind of stuff.
Give you the details on the Tennessee Classic uniform, as it is called. Nike's always got a name for these things. Coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone. Hey, it's Will Bowling here for my friends at Lee Company, and we all know it takes a team to keep a facility running smoothly. Well, your customers rely on you to have your HVAC, plumbing, and electrical systems in top shape. Lee Company offers complete facility solutions, from assisting staff to handling all management and maintenance for all your needs. Our friends at Lee Company partner with you to analyze operations, provide actionable data, and handle repairs as well. Lee Company is ready to help where and when you need them for your facility 24/7. You can visit them online at leecompany.com and click My Facility to learn more, or give them a call at 615-567-1000. Visit them online, leecompany.com. That's Lee Company, all you need. It's Friday, and we're acting like it on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Good conversation with Brian Rice this morning, up and early, with this kind of energy for Gino Ariema, who was pocket was way over here, and Gino was way over on this side. He was a little out of pocket.
This sounds like Gino.
Come faster.
In the background.
Come faster. I love this video. Who tweets this out everywhere? It's somebody I follow that tweets it
You
out.
love that. You show that video so
love
much.
it.
Ramon tweets out the same video and GIF every Friday morning.
And that's another one, right?
Yep, Mufasa. I love that one, man. That one should get you going right there. Between him and Mr. Hotspot, those two dudes are hilarious. They're like feel-good, like social media influencers.
You gotta love that on a Friday.
Gotta love that.
So Tennessee will wear a new uniform tomorrow against Texas.
Yeah.
As your
Love it.
local uniform expert, I feel like I must weigh in. It is an off-white uniform with a script Vols on the front of the jersey.
Yes.
When they host number 10 Texas tomorrow, when UT hosts Texas tomorrow in the SEC Big 12 Challenge.
Oh, gosh.
A Tennessee release saying, drawing inspiration from all corners of volunteer lore. Don't know what that means. Tennessee Classic Uniform line celebrates the unique history and tradition of the UT brand.
Nice, man.
That's crisp.
Look at that. As players, as athletes, Wills, I'm sure you went through this too. Like the idea that you can go from Adidas to Nike.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Anybody? There was an era there where fans, I say this with respect because I do like some Adidas stuff. There were some fans who were complaining about Tennessee going from Adidas to Nike.
Oh, really?
None of those fans ever played sports at a really high level.
I'm like, I don't know about that one.
Man, what Booby Miles say? I'm gonna have black Nikes on my feet. Like that meant something.
And to be fair, Adidas has come a long way since Tennessee originally got the contract with Nike. Like since when you were playing, Adidas was. What I was told was it was like construction boots for the offensive line.
It was.
Oh, really?
It was 100%. Like they were super bulky, big. Like they didn't look good. There was no style. I say all that unless they give me an endorsement. But it's hard to like.
That's why I said respectfully.
It really is. Like that is a thing when it comes down to athletes. Are you a Nike school or Adidas school? And if you are Adidas school, you better be on the forefront of like all things Adidas. Like when your coaches and managers call Adidas, you need it then because to keep up with what Nike brand got going on, it
never
matters,
ends.
Kayla.
Well, yeah, because they're always doing something new.
Yeah.
And I think, is Maryland still an Under Armour school?
They're like
I think so.
them and Auburn are the
so
Under Armour
Auburn is
schools.
still
Auburn is
Under
also?
Armour
They always
too.
will be.
Okay.
Auburn had Russell, didn't they?
I think
they
the
did.
founders of Under Armour are Maryland
They
grads.
And
That's
they
why.
have a big
Yeah.
headquarters in Auburn.
Yeah.
Okay.
And granted,
What?
Slay points out on 104.5 The Zone TV on YouTube, tuning in, that it wasn't that bad for basketball.
Well,
That's what I was thinking. Was you think of some of those guys that were playing in for Adidas schools that weren't too bad. It is different for every sport.
see,
Sure.
For my sport, you could not catch me wearing Adidas cleats or spikes or
and I
anything.
think that was their biggest issue was the
Oh.
cleats and spikes. Like even
Yeah.
for the skill dudes, like they only made cleats for like skill guys for the most part because Adidas is huge in soccer.
Yeah, it is.
So
Oh,
they
yeah.
can make the small skill guys.
And in
stuff.
soccer, you prefer Adidas.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like on the
Right.
basketball side, like your foot, like I would get blisters. Like it would be crazy just the differences in which they had. Like they retained water longer. As far as like when you sweating in camp, like those hot days and your feet are soaked, like they hold on to water like a whole lot. Like yeah, Kayla, imagine being that hot and humid outside
That's what
where
I'm saying.
water pours into your cleats like that.
You're like airing those things out for a couple days.
Have to, and they just didn't look good either.
No.
Like basketball,
That's part of it,
They
right?
had flavor to theirs. Like they had the orange stripes and everything. I know numerous guys that said, "Man, I wanted to come to Tennessee, but I couldn't get down with Adidas."
Hey,
That might not have been their only like reason, but that was
but
a
that
part
plays
of it.
into it.
I had a teammate in high school who said the exact same thing.
You serious?
Oh, really?
And then Tennessee changed to Nike. Literally, my freshman year was Tennessee's first year with Nike. So we got there, and all the guys on the team were like,
Yeah.
man, y'all are lucky.
Yeah.
First gear day you actually want to wear this stuff.
Yeah.
First gear day we're just putting these stuff in suitcases.
And what's even cooler, the bigger your team and brand is, the
Yeah.
more Nike does for you too.
Well, that's the thing,
Yes.
though. I mean, it's just like you're putting on a brand new outfit, let's say, that you just got. You kind of get excited about when you strap up for a game or you get ready for an event. You take pride in kind of putting on whatever you're putting on. And so it does. It kind of plays in a little bit.
It does.
And that's why Oregon still keeps on doing things in Oregon as far as it is up there.
Yep.
That is the Nike school. So guys are willing to come from down here in the South or over on the East Coast to go all the way up there and play football.
Yeah, it's attractive.
We just retweeted the picture of the jersey, if you haven't seen it, at Ramon Kayla Will on Twitter. It's like the off-white Sunday baseball jerseys Tennessee wears with the script VOLS, which I love anything with that logo on
script.
it. But I love anything with the TriStar on it, too. And I have this opinion of some other people I grew up with that the TriStar and like the Tennessee brand for people who are from Tennessee who move outside of the state.
Yeah.
Like we're as proud of our state and like the brand of the TriStar and everything, if you're from here, as any other people are with their states like across the country. Like you think of like Maryland and their flag, Colorado with theirs, Texas, obviously, of course. But it's cool to have a little bit of state pride. So
it looks like the ACC has the most variety of different schools.
Like in terms of brands?
Yeah, in terms of like Pac-12 has 1, 2, 3, 4 Under Armour teams.
Yeah.
This is
I
interesting.
think Washington State's a Nike team still.
Washington State, they're Nike.
I thought so.
They are. Coming up next, hour number 2 begins. We talk with former Titan Rocky Boiman coming up at 7:20. We dive into an AFC championship game between Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes and why Jamar Chase might be even more excited about playing Kansas City than Joe Burrow is.
Yeah.
Coming up next, we'll give you the numbers. Ramon Kayla Will, hour 2 on deck on 104.5 The Zone.
7:02. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. Frank Reich is the new head coach of the Carolina Panthers. He is now the team's 6th head coach. The New York Jets have hired Nathaniel Hackett as their next offensive coordinator. They also hired former Titans offensive line coach Keith Carter, who was fired at the end of this past season. He will be the line coach / running game coordinator. And Dan Quinn will remain the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator. Conference Championship weekend, San Francisco at Philadelphia for the NFC crown. Kickoff at 2 o'clock for that. Cincinnati at Kansas City, Arrowhead, Burrowhead, whatever you want to call it. 5:30 the kick. You can hear both those games right here on The Zone. Women's hoops, number 5, UConn defeated Tennessee 84-67. Number 23, MTSU beat FAU 63-48. To the men's side, tomorrow, number 10, Texas at number 4, Tennessee. 5 o'clock tip. 4:30 Vol Network coverage right here on 104.5 The Zone. And to the ice last night at Bridgestone Arena, Predators 6, Devils 4. Matt Duchene had a goal and an assist. The Preds have won 3 in a row and 5 of their last 6. For our foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
And the show goes on into hour number 2. A very good Friday morning to you, Nashville. Welcome to Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, as we talk AFC and NFC championship games this morning alongside Ramon Foster.
Hey.
That's Kayla Anderson. Behind the glass, there's Jonathan Schaefer.
The best producer in the world!
I'm Will Bowling. Our phone number is 615-737-1045. If you would also like to partake on a Friday and acting like it.
Oh, we gotta
We're
act like
acting
it,
like
man.
it today.
It
We
got
are.
cold outside again.
It
Too
was
cold.
cold last night. I woke up, frost everywhere.
Did you, man? Killing me, Smalls.
Way too cold. I told you guys this morning that as of today, I'm officially ready for spring.
You said that. I think the only part that's getting me is the daylight. I think I'm
Like,
past
it's
that right
longer.
now. Yeah,
You don't like that.
No. I like the longer daylight.
Yeah, I
now.
like the longer daylight,
Yeah,
too.
I enjoy it. Seeing it go dark at like 4 o'clock. Over it.
Well, we've gone through the last winter solstice under
Yeah.
these current daylight hours.
So we're
Goodness.
peaking to more daylight day by day. Is that what you're saying?
No, well, that's not what I mean. I mean, like, we'll never again go, like, the time change is
Because we're
done.
not doing the time change anymore.
We're not
doing
doing
the
it.
No,
No.
it's over.
2023. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was the last time ever.
Thank
So we've already
goodness.
gone through the last
Well,
December
see,
21st at
Amen.
4:30 p.m.
I
it
don't
being
know
dark.
about that.
Why?
You're going to love it.
Am I?
It's great for golf.
When I lived in Arizona, I loved that.
It's great for golf.
It is great for golf. You get an extra hour in the afternoon to go play golf. I'm serious.
You'll like it.
Golf courses around Tennessee are rejoicing.
I don't even have time for golf already. That doesn't benefit me, Will. Give me something else. Give me
I
something
saw-
You'll
else.
have time to go. It will be light when you're done with a basketball game or whatever it is. Then you
Okay.
feel like you could do more.
Okay.
I saw
Just go to
something
bed.
yesterday that said, whenever I'm stressed about my life and need to unwind, I go play golf.
Yeah.
That way I then reinforce that
Exactly.
my golf game is so bad that it just actually makes my mental health worse.
Right? I'm like, what? How does this help most
It
people?
doesn't.
How do you actually get good at it? Like legitimately. Because
Take
everybody
lessons.
I know is like, I'm just
Out
all
there
right.
every single day.
Every
Don't
day.
start.
I ain't got time.
Yeah, Schaefer's not a golf
You
guy.
said don't start, Shape? That's how you
That's
get
right.
good at it?
We're another week closer to the golf documentary coming out.
I know. I saw it today, coming up on Netflix next week. Or
Who's-
2 weeks from now.
Who's golf documentary?
We
The
talked about this.
PGA
It's the
Tour.
Netflix one.
Who?
It's all access on the PGA Tour.
Okay. We talked about this?
Yes, we
Yeah,
did.
we did.
I was in that day.
Because
Yeah,
everyone-
you were. We were talking, I think, outside the studio.
Because everyone tried to fire me when I brought up golf at the end of the show.
Huh.
Usually that only happens
I
on
remember
Facebook.
usually firing you, Will. I didn't remember this one.
Well, it just, the PGA
tried
and
to do it
this
so many
live
times.
tour thing, it's just getting juicy.
This-
It's getting juicy, man. The
PGA
players hate
is?
each other.
Oh, it's great.
We got Patrick throwing tees
Throwing-
at Rory. I mean, the whole thing.
Like, for
is
real,
just,
for real?
He
Well,
threw
for
a tee
real,
at
for
him.
real.
Like-
and Rory came
Oh,
out
it's
there
great.
and was like talking his stuff.
Like
It's great.
attitudes is what we have
Patrick
going on.
Reed is a goober.
He was like, if I did that to him, I'd be expecting a lawsuit this
Exactly.
morning.
Oh, he called him soft, basically.
Oh yeah. Well,
Oh.
Patrick Reed is
Patrick's
soft.
a
He's one of the
goober. He
biggest
is soft?
jokes. He's one of the biggest jokes in sports
How you call him soft like that?
because he cheats and then he whines.
Huh?
He does, like he literally.
And
like,
actually, if you went like, woohoo,
He tickled like the Pillsbury Doughboys. Is what you're saying?
707.
Man, that's crazy.
he
Caleb.
is. He's one of the biggest villains, like the most universally hated people in sports right now.
He's
I would
like
say.
that.
For like a fan base of a sport. Like
And we
most
love
people
it.
don't know who he is,
Well,
but
now I like him.
he was on the
No, you
U.S.
would
Ryder
not.
Cup team. You would hate.
you
him.
would not.
I
like,
would hate
oh,
him.
Yeah, you
he
would.
looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
That's what I
Aw.
said.
Oh man, that's crazy out here.
Apologies to Patrick Reed if you're listening this morning. I'd like to take the time to apologize to absolutely nobody. 615-737.
Please call
1045
in,
is our
Patrick.
number. Yeah, please do. So Jamar Chase likes playing the Kansas City Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Not exactly breaking news. We're going to talk with Rocky Boiman, hosts a radio show up in Cincinnati, 8-year NFL veteran, coming up in our next segment. But last season, Jamar Chase set the NFL rookie single game record with 266 yards in the regular season win over the Chiefs. And you think about reasons why teams make the moves they do in off seasons.
Yeah.
Was one of the reasons why Kansas City revamped their entire secondary going into this season was because of what Jamar Chase did to them last year. Mm-hmm. And then you have Jamar Chase coming back from injury on December 4th in the regular season, and he gets 7 catches for 97 yards, which was a pedestrian effort for Chase against the Kansas City Chiefs at this point.
He's a Chiefs killer. Is that what we're calling him
He
right
is.
now? Wasn't that his breakout game to his rookie year? If I'm not mistaken, was the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Like there was a whole bunch of question marks around him.
266 yards.
Yeah, and then the legend of Jamar Chase was born, man. And what's crazy is his level of confidence against a team like that just says, all right, cool. Y'all are good, but y'all aren't good enough to stop me. There is nothing better than knowing you have a guy or a team's, number. Like everybody has that one person or dude you'd be like, he's good to y'all, but watch
Right.
what I do to him. You know what I'm saying? Like that's him right now. And the fact that nobody can cover him one-on-one and he has breakaway speed and good hands. And the thing about Jamar Chase, he's a thicker wide receiver, so you can't bully him. Like, he is a more refined, in my opinion, Juju Smith-Schuster. Because Juju's big and bully guys, but not as fast.
Right.
Has injuries here or there, you know what I'm saying? And, like, that's Jamar Chase, though.
Well, and on top of it, Jamar Chase has the luxury of having a quarterback that he knows so well that
Yeah.
he's been able to continue to build that relationship with his guy, Joe Burrow, who they're now calling, I guess, Arrowhead Burrowhead. Straight up, they're serious about that. And so think about it, the guy that's connecting with you just at another level right now, and then just having that confidence in your quarterback and vice versa, having a guy like Jamar where you can count on him. And again, they continue to grow together.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
That's pretty special.
I saw people asking the question, does the trash talking from Eli Apple, does the trash talking from Cincinnati fuel the rivalry they have with Kansas City? If you can't get up for an AFC championship game, what are we doing?
Man, I heard somebody justify Eli Apple's. I read something that justified Eli Apple's attitude.
And he's still tweeting to Stephon Diggs. by the
Y'all,
way.
he's been like this for years.
So if you break it down, he goes to the Giants. He was absolutely hated right there. His mom intruded on his career, became like the NFL mom because of Roger Goodell, and think that's over with. And then he gets booted from New York, goes to the Saints, and everybody vocally says they hate this dude. He got bodied there, talked a whole lot of stuff, and now he's finally on a team in Cincinnati that just grabs onto his attitude, and it's a Cincy thing.
well,
and
they also
you-
have a lot of former Ohio State guys
They
on
do.
that team that
So
played with.
and I was just like, well, dang, like he really has been hated. He really has been given the boot. He really has been called a bust. He's been like trampled on as far as just career optics. He's bound to act like this, and then he's on a team that continues to win, whether with him or not. Like, what are you gonna do to a guy that who has developed a loud mouth like that?
It's
Kayla?
weird too. I covered him in college. Like I covered the national championship game where he was playing. He was never really like that.
You ain't
Like we
even-
never talked about Eli being that loud guy. I mean, Zeke was the guy that was kind of
Was
the
he?
personality, but he was still at the time a pretty level-headed dude before everything went to the draft and everything. But yeah, we never talked about Eli like that. And then the minute he was drafted, the mom got involved and it was like.
He's one of those things where you're just saying, you ain't even like that. Like when people say that to Eli Apple, they mean it. But what you going to do to him when he's on a team that's winning?
Yeah.
He's won an AFC
Can't
championship.
do much, right?
You
Played in
can't
the
do
Super Bowl.
much.
I mean, he got burned at the Super Bowl, but he
I mean,
has played in the
did.
Super Bowl.
Got toasted.
Cooper Kupp was.
Oh.
I mean, that was a clip also that showed Jamar Chase breaking him down in camp. Remember that one when he flipped his hip so bad? Sheesh.
Well, Rocky Boiman can provide more insight to that with us coming up next. 8-year NFL veteran, former Titans linebacker. What is it about the Chiefs that makes it such a good matchup for the Cincinnati Bengals team? We talk AFC Championship coming up next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon Foster for Secure Lawn. And when I say that name, it's one of those names that if you know, then you kind of know what you're getting yourself into because they are some of the best, if not the best, lawn protectors around. They're family owned and operated too, and they're local, okay? Secure Lawn has been building up a solid reputation with Middle Tennessee homeowners for 20 years, offering neighborly advice and legendary service out here, okay? And right now is the time of the year to be applying crabgrass and broadleaf weed control to your lawn. And I have the people for you that you need to call. They are Secure Lawn. There is nobody better because if you're like me, you want your green thick, you want your grass thick, green, and lush the entire summer, not worrying about it turning brown. They will get you on their grass cycle, their seeding cycle, and get everything right for you, whether it's overseeding, whether it's weed control, whether it's everything you need. And don't worry also, if you need your trees trimmed or shrubs planted, these aren't the people for you to call. They are there to make your grass healthy, your soil even more healthier, okay? Everything that Secure Lawn uses also is pet, kid, and environmentally friendly, so you don't have to worry about the dangerous chemicals hurting your family. And they protect all types of grass and service residential, commercial, and even athletic fields. So get a head start on your yard and call Secure Lawn at 615-893-8455 or go to securelawn.com.
We'll see y'all in Burrowhead. Yeah, baby. Let that sink in your mind. We'll see y'all in Burrowhead. We'll see y'all in Burrowhead. Yeah, baby. Let that sink in your mind. We'll see y'all in Burrowhead.
That's where the Cincinnati Bengals are headed this weekend to Burrowhead Stadium. Not Arrowhead Stadium. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. With Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson, I'm Will Bowling. As we go to the Marks Payne Real Estate Hotline and check in with our friend Rocky Boiman from WLW in Cincinnati, former NFL and Titan linebacker. Good morning, Rocky. How are you?
Fellas, good morning. How we doing?
Good morning.
We're good, man. And I'll tell you what is it about this Kansas City team that makes it such a good matchup for Cincinnati where they're looking at cameras and calling it Burrowhead before their divisional round game in Buffalo was even finished?
Well, let me tell you, I mean, this whole town here in Cincinnati is just bonkers for Joe Burrow, man. And it's amazing, you know. And you know, I'm a guy who was born and raised here in town, and knows the history of the Bengals and just how they've always had the moniker of, you know, they're a little bit of a cheap organization and they don't do some things, you know, necessarily all the time to go all out to win. And it's been tough, you know. You go to the Super Bowl in '82, Super Bowl in '88. But outside of that, it's been a lot of futility, and now it's like the fan base is on one hand ecstatic, and the other hand still can't believe that we have a really good team. Cincinnati has, you know, likely one of the best teams in the NFL. So, and a lot of it is because of Joe Burrow, and I mean, I think that Ramon can speak to this. How players, maybe a Troy Polamalu or a Ben Roethlisberger, how one person can come in and literally flip the whole dynamic of a franchise. He has awareness. He knows what to say. He knows how to say it. He performs well. And on the shoulders of Joe Burrow, this whole organization has just been uplifted.
Man, Rocky, you say that about Joe Burrow, man, and I know your sideline host, Dawn Davenport, okay? She's pretty much announced she's flipping sides to being a Joe Burrow fan. Is that what he does to people?
He does, man. He's got this confidence about him that's not too cocky. You know, he's not Cam Newton. You know, I'm not a fan of that extreme, but he's just cocky enough where he exudes confidence and he's likable. It obviously helps, you know, playing for the Bengals that he's from Athens, Ohio, which is about 2 hours away. So he's kind of that Ohio kid. And, you know, I'm sure you might have heard that clip going around of, you know, all the naysayers talking about, you know, when Burrow was getting pulling Eli Manning and, you know, tell him he doesn't want to play for him and all that sort of thing. But I think the fact that he was an Ohio kid, you know, made it a realization he was going to play here. And ever since he set foot here in Cincinnati, man, the whole turn of the franchise has just really been a whole nother dynamic.
So finally, an Ohio franchise had an Ohio kid that they finally drafted, because that's one of the things that the Browns, we always joke them about, was, well, you had Ben and you chose to go a different direction. I think it was Kellen Winslow, you know?
Yeah. No, it is. And there, you know, I mean, there's something about, you know, when you're playing in front of your people, man, there's a little bit of an extra effort that you put out there, and I think we're certainly seeing that with Burrow.
I have this for you too. What does it mean? Because you've been on teams. We've all been on good and bad teams. We've all been on teams that, you know, everybody cheer for, and then there's ones that people hate too. Cincinnati's okay with being the villain. They were the villain while I played. You was there. Like, they've always kind of embraced that role. But to also be the villain and to be good, Rocky, what does that mean for those guys inside that locker room calling it Burrowhead and all types of other stuff?
Yeah, well, it's funny because you know, I never thought of the Bengals as a villain because, I mean, frankly, you guys with the Steelers are always kicking their ass every year, so it was kind of hard to call them anything. But it's a little bit different now. Again, this team has a little swagger to it.
Yeah.
And you know, you got Eli Apple and some of these guys talk. But I'll tell you the thing that's been the difference to me this year for this Bengals team, whether it's real or perceived, they've always found a way to convince themselves no one believes in us. Everyone thinks we're crap, and no one thinks we're any good. You know, they're selling tickets to the Bills-Chiefs game in Atlanta before we even play the game. You know, every week they found something. You know what I mean? To like sell. Again, I don't know if it's real or perceived, but you know how it is, Ramon.
Yep.
It's a long season, man. You got to do whatever you got to do to get yourself up to play a game. Well, if you got to lie to yourself, you do it. And the Bengals have done that. And it's almost like, and I said this week on my show, it's like it's a little different this week because it's hard to say no one believes in us because a lot of people believe in the Bengals now. And now you're going in and playing a team in Kansas City that you've beaten 3 straight times with a quarterback in Mahomes whose ankle's a little dinged up. But then Willie Gay yesterday comes out and says, "What's your thoughts on the Bengals offense?" And he said nothing or whatever it was. So now it's like they got that bulletin board material that they desperately want.
You know, we talk about the coaches when they don't succeed, but when coaches succeed, we don't really talk about them as much. And yeah, they get their credit when they're coach of the year, this and that. But Zach Taylor, I feel like, is a little underrated when it comes to what he's done with this Bengals team. And specifically the staff that he surrounded himself with. And Joe Burrow made a comment the other day that, look, that staff gets a lot of credit for just the adjustments that they make with how this team is operating.
Well, there's no question about it. And look, I mean, here we are. I mean, 2 years ago today, I mean, everybody in Cincinnati we got to fire Zach Taylor. He was 6-25-1, a quarterback coming off a knee surgery. You know, they didn't do anything to protect him. Lou Anarumo's defense was terrible. And now here we are, right? And I think it is time for Zach Taylor to start getting some credit. I mean, when you go into Buffalo, and in my opinion, out-scheme, out-game plan, and totally outplay the Bills in every single phase imaginable, it's time to start giving him some credit. And Lou Anarumo, same thing. He has one of the best defenses in the league right now that's not just jam-packed with household name superstars, right? There's no Derwin James. There's no Myles Garrett. There's no T.J. Watt, right? It's, you know, Trey Hendrickson's a very, very good player. Von Bell is a very good player. You know, Logan Wilson, but there's a lot of talent on that team, and he's found a way to have these guys really, really playing well. So yeah, I think it is time to start giving Zach Taylor some credit. But it was always hard because he never really had much of a resume before coming here. He was never really a coordinator. I think like 1 year with the Dolphins, and outside there was nothing really compared to. But I think now fans are starting to see that this guy has something to him.
You're in Cincinnati, so you hear everything from the fans. We spoke with one of our Philly guests yesterday just about the pressure that's on some of these young quarterbacks that are in the playoffs because the average age is 25, so very, very young. And he said he thought Jalen Hurts has a lot of pressure, and we know what that Philly market is like. What is it for Joe Burrow, though, in terms of pressure and knowing that he got there last year? At some point, they're going to want him to win it.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think it is. There's pressure because, and Ramon knows this, the window to win a championship is wide open, and then all of a sudden it's shut, and it doesn't open again for a long, long time, if not ever. So, I mean, right now the Bengals and Brandon Beane, the GM of the Bills, kind of alluded to this. You heard his press conference. You know, he said, "Look, the Bengals are in a great situation right now." My co-host on one of my Bengals shows did the math, and the salaries of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow combined make up an 8% of the Bengals salary cap.
Wow.
Right? 8.
Goodness.
And I think Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs make up 36%. Right? So right now they're in a great spot because Joe Burrow doesn't have that big contract. Now, within a calendar year, he will have that thing, and it's going to be $400-something million. And Jamar Chase is going to want one. So, you know, winning this thing right now, you're right. I mean, everyone's happy and all that sort of thing, but the championship definitely has to come because it's only going to get harder from here.
Rocky Boiman with us this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Rocky, how in the world is this offensive line playing so well, as banged up as they've been this year?
I mean, the whole offensive line. I mean, last year, you know, obviously, you know, went down and played the Titans, and I think the Titans sacked him 9 times. Yep. Bengals were still able to win. But the whole offseason was dedicated to being given free agency, spending money, and revamping the O-line. And they did that, right? Got Lael Collins, got Alex Kappa, got Ted Karras. And for the first, I think it was 15 games of the season, those guys grew together, no injuries, played every game, and were really playing at a high level. And then the 3 subsequent games after that, it was bang, bang, bang. 3 guys go down, right? And so now it's like, here we are. All the money was spent. All the dedication to revamping the line is now all for naught. So what are we going to do? Well, they shuffled some things around. And the big one is Jackson Carman. Okay, he was 2 years ago. The Bengals traded up to get him in the second round out of Clemson. He was a tackle, but they wanted him to play guard. And from the second he set foot in Cincinnati, he was a total disappointment. Came in out of shape, overweight, questions of his work ethic. Rookie year, they tried to put him in, couldn't put him in, right? Right, Ramon? Just couldn't rely on the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the offseason, it was like, okay, now's his chance to go capture this spot. He's got a year of experience. Couldn't do it. He was beat out by Cordell Volson out of North Dakota State, a fourth-round pick who started every game.
Wow.
So it's almost like his story was written, right? It's like appointment 2 years in, and then out of basically necessity, the Bengals had to turn to him. They put him back at tackle, which was his more natural or more experienced position, I should say, and he played great. He played great last week. Now, of course, insane fans in Cincinnati want to sign him to like a 10-year, $100 million deal. It's like, wait a minute now. Let's back up a little bit. Let's this defensive line for the Chiefs is a whole different animal. And obviously, Burrow's ability to get the ball out of his hand and make quick decisions is a lot of that. But this kind of revamped offensive line, at least right now, is playing real well.
And Rocky, last season in the second half, Patrick Mahomes just 7 of 13 for 59 yards. And a lot of that was because that Lou Anarumo defense dropped back with 8 defenders in coverage so much to secure that win. How do you expect him to attack this version of Patrick Mahomes? Obviously, no Tyreek Hill. The differences in personnel well documented for Kansas City. But the lack of mobility for Mahomes, do you expect Lou Anarumo and the Bengals to be more aggressive in blitzing him?
Their mindset has to be in their heads, and Patrick Mahomes is going to be 100%. And I think he's going to be fine. With all the stuff they do now, with all the blood platelet stuff and all this whatever, like he's going to be ready to go now. And Ramon, he'll get the vitamin T right before the game, and maybe last time too.
You know it.
And I love that. Anyway, so he'll get that. He'll be ready to go, but they'll have to see as the game goes. So I think it'll be more see how he reacts, how he's doing during the course of the game, change some things up. I think it's still, to me, it comes down to finding a way to guard Travis Kelce. My philosophy is always make the other team win with their second or third best option. Don't let them beat you with their best player. So if they find a way to take Travis Kelce out of the game, which the Bengals have traditionally not done well in covering tight ends, if they can limit his productivity, I think they'll be okay.
Rocky, I'm going to ask you to take off your broadcast hat real quick and put the mic down and give me the football player, Rocky, real quick, okay? In this scenario right here, to where even you said earlier, hey, whatever I got to tell myself about this game to get the job done, I'm going to do it. I don't care. Well, where I'm at is, do you care about Patrick Mahomes' ankle as far as trying to get him out of the game? Not get him out of the game, but lay hits on him. Where are you on, you know what? I'm going to test it just in case. I ain't going to twist him, but I got to see if he's actually healed.
Absolutely. Now, that's not something that would fly well on Twitter, and no defensive player is going to say it. And I don't think anybody's going to do anything after the whistle. But sure, I mean, the job of any competitor is to find a way to affect the opponent. Right? And that's part of it. And if he's got an ankle and he doesn't escape well to his right, guess what we're going to do? We're going to try to make him escape to his right. If he can't step up in the pocket, guess what we're going to try to do? So I think all that is certainly within bounds. That's perfectly reasonable to try to take advantage of whatever you can. Absolutely.
No doubt about it. And on the other side of this too, man, where is the advantage for this Kansas City defense? We talk so much about Cincinnati. It's almost like, what is Kansas City? What's the advantages that they have defensively to get after Joe Burrow or Joe Mixon for the most part? Those two guys right there are the lifelines of getting that offense going. But despite, Jamar Chase being that good.
It's Chris Jones. Again, last week, as I said, I try to caution the fans, like, look, the offensive line played great against the Bills, but this is a different deal this week. I for whatever reason, Ed Oliver didn't even show up in that game against the Ball.
Did he?
I don't know what even happened, but anyway, but Chris Jones is a different guy, right? 15.5 sacks on the year. I know he doesn't have any in the postseason here, but he's going to be a problem. And I think if I were them, I'd line Chris Jones up over Jackson Carman and just say, hey, look, we're going to go to work on this young kid and see how much how much experience he really does have. So that's the thing to me. I think the Bengals, we're really going to see if that offensive line truly is in good enough shape here this week.
Rocky, just real quick, in the NFC, what do you like out of this matchup between the Niners and the Eagles? And do you believe in the Purdy?
I do. I do, because I covered Brock Purdy when he was at Iowa State, called a couple of their games, and was always a big fan of him. Now, I guess it's hard for me to root for the Niners because my wife just loves Christian McCaffrey.
Oh,
Like, if I tripped and fell down the stairs tomorrow, she would try to do whatever she could. So it's hard to root for them. But no, they got a great team, and I think that's a great matchup. Obviously, I mean the Eagles. I think they have 17 guys that are either Pro Bowlers or Pro Bowl alternates. They had led the league in sacks, 70 something. So that's a really, really good team, and it's hard for me to really see who I really like in that one there, but that'd certainly be a good game.
Rocky, to be fair to your wife,
oh gosh,
Christian McCaffrey does look like what Captain America's supposed to look like. So good luck,
I'm
bro.
going for Joe Burrow. Give me Joe Burrow.
Because Christian McCaffrey he's an athlete, like an athlete. Like, this dude look like he can be Captain America. So, Rocky, continue to work out, bro. Whatever you got to do, okay?
I tried. I was up early, man. I was doing it. I had it in my head, man. I got the poster. I'm like, I'm going to get him.
I was going to say, you got to really love Christian McCaffrey when Joe Burrow is just right there in your backyard, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know. She got nothing to do with him. But boy,
I love it.
The sun rises and sets with him.
I love
awesome.
it,
Rocky Boiman has been our guest this morning, former Titan. You can hear him on WLW up there in Cincinnati. Rocky, appreciate the time as always.
Guys, you're the best. We'll do it again soon. Thanks.
No
Thanks,
doubt.
Rocky.
Absolutely. There's Rocky Boiman with us this morning on
Look,
the Mark
Christian
Spade
needs
Real
a new
Estate
haircut,
Hotline.
though.
Hey.
Let's just be real. Whatever
Really?
he just did to his hair, I ain't with that.
Yeah.
You know what, though? Ramon's right. He does look like Captain America.
He does
Well,
look like
he's got a
Captain
model
America.
wife, too, or girlfriend.
Does
excuse me.
he?
Olivia Coppola?
I mean,
Well, you
that's
would think
right,
he
yeah.
would.
does he?
Yeah.
I'm sure he does.
I, for one, am
That
shocked.
dude look like Captain America, man. I can't
That's
even
what those
front.
Stanford kids do, you know?
The sun is good to him, ain't it?
No, because Andrew Luck was a Stanford kid.
Yeah,
he did
exactly.
not look like Captain America.
Never mind. Nah, we seen that comment.
I sound like Buck Rising. No.
Right.
Us Stanford guys.
Now do it. Do it, Will. Come on.
Well, it's 615-737-1045. Us Stanford guys, I bear a striking resemblance to the quarterback of my homeland up in Indianapolis.
Now, he's coming with us to Mobile now, so y'all better be careful.
No, we're not being
What are you talking
careful.
about? She's going to get
Kayla.
off ratchet.
Kayla, I've traveled with
You
Buck. Last time I traveled with Buck,
Are we doing bottle service? Is he
we
paying for
went
bottle
to
service?
L.A. for the
Buck
Super Bowl
is.
last year.
Yeah.
And I think I only saw Buck on the flight there and back, and then in the hours of his show. And it was just like, I've got a thing.
Was he doing bottle service the rest of the time?
Somewhere.
I
Some
can't
media
say what I
party.
want to on these airways.
no.
Buck's like, peace out, you.
Well, and his guest from FoxSports.com, Carmen, came on the show yesterday, so I
Carmen
heard
Vitale,
a
yeah.
little bit of the conversation, and this was what was hilarious. So he asked her about bottle service, and he said, "Did you ever have that in college?" And she said, "Well, yeah." And he goes, "Well, okay, there we go. Like, we're on the same page." She goes, "I went to Arizona State."
Yeah.
Do y'all know what Arizona
Yeah.
State, what they do out there?
The biggest party school in
Yes, and
in
it's
the
right
country.
next to Scottsdale. That's a whole different ball game. All right, folks?
The Cronkite School of Journalism is very kind to many
Yes.
in Tempe, Arizona.
I'm interested to see what Indiana is like now.
And it was also Tempe, Arizona was very kind to the Tennessee Volunteers back in the year 1999. But anyway, Coming up next.
They partied like it.
I love it.
we continue the conversation. One interesting point that Tony Romo made about the Bengals offensive line during the AFC divisional round in Buffalo. I want to get Ramon's thoughts. And against my better judgment, we're going to let Ramon get nerdy about offensive line 2 days in a row. Next on Ramon Taylor and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
You don't have to go through yet another year with that knee pain or back pain. People with chronic joint pain are getting real lasting relief from QC Kinetics. Hey, it's Ramon Foster, and QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in advanced regenerative medicine. Their unique protocols use healing agents from your own body to target aching joints, repairing and restoring damaged joint tissue, so you can move again with no surgery, no drugs, no downtime. If you have shoulder pain or excruciating hip pain, or if you have any arthritis or lingering pain from an injury, don't let them operate on you or give you more steroids, and say no to those pain pills. Call QC Kinetics and see if their life-changing, all-natural treatments can get you living your best life in this new year. I'm telling you, the people are raving about these treatments. This is the future of joint pain management, and appointments are available as soon as next week. So make 2023 the year you say goodbye to joint pain. QC Kinetics in Nashville, Clarksville, and Murfreesboro. And you can reach out to them at 615-249-4024. Again, at 615-249-4024.
104.5 The Zone is going on the road to Radio Row in Phoenix, Arizona, thanks to Ferguson. Tune in each day as we broadcast live from Radio Row with tons of very special guests and hear exclusive interviews that you won't get anywhere else. Our Radio Row coverage brought to you by Ferguson HVAC. Quality products, exceptional service. That's Ferguson. For more info, visit 1045thezone.com/events today.
Radio Row in Mobile next week, and then Radio Row in Phoenix the next for 3HL. We'll be there with Buck Rising next week in Mobile, Tuesday through Thursday, and we will be on the road right after the Monday show.
Let's go. It's our first road trip as a team.
Oh, this is the first.
I told my family we were going down there, and my dad was like, "Oh, so when do y'all take off?" And I was like, "Oh, we're driving right after the show." He's like, "You're driving to Mobile?" Go
Yeah.
I don't think that was a bad trip right there.
6.5 hours.
I've made it a lot because we go down to the beach in the summer, down to Destin area, Gulf
I haven't
Shores.
done it in a while.
You got to just mentally prepare yourself.
That's right.
That's it. It's literally
What
like
it's all about.
straight shot down. Then you're like, oh, we're really at the toenail of Alabama.
So
The toenail.
I was talking to some of my Auburn friends.
Fungus-filled toenail.
I was telling some of my Auburn friends we were going down there, and one of my friends was like, "Yeah, you go through Montgomery,
Yeah.
and that's like the last big city you go through,
Right.
but then you go for 3 more hours
That's right.
For
to
real.
get to Mobile."
For real, man.
So, Ramon, I wanted to ask you a question about something Tony Romo said about the Bengals' offensive line against Buffalo, where he said there are a lot of backups on this offensive line. Of course, a couple of injuries there for that group where Alex Kappa and Jonah Williams were out of practice again yesterday, and they've had to change up some of that first 5. Tony Romo said a lot of times it's easier for reserve linemen to run block and for backup linemen to run block because you can get those guys excited. They're big bodies to just run downhill and keep it pretty simple.
That's exactly what happens.
Okay.
And the one thing that you do that happens for young OL is you're tested early on how tough you are. And run blocking is the best way to figure that out. And most coaches will tell you as far as, the backup guys go, because pass protecting is more about reps. Like, you don't want to draft a guy that didn't have a pass-friendly type of offense. You know what I'm saying? Because the pass, like Texas Tech and their old offensive line, like how big the splits were and stuff, it could be questionable on doing stuff like that. Or Georgia Tech having offensive linemen that are, with the old option style that they have. And they had some guys. I think Shaq Mason was a Georgia Tech guy that went to the Patriots. But that's what happens, though, Will, is they have to have a level of toughness. And the best way to maximize their talent is to get them running the ball. Why? Because that shows at least I can do this. All offensive linemen know how to run block. They understand that is the first thing you're going to be testing on in training camp every single year, and that also shows what my finish and desire is. Like, you can't really show your speed at offensive line, but you can show your power and finish. That's where that's where the run blocking goes into. And after you settle in on the run game, you have the ability to open up the pass pro. Okay, now I'm settled down a little bit. Now I'll play your game. Let's throw the ball around a little bit.
In all honesty, how tough is that for a guy that maybe excels at run blocking?
That's as far as who excels at run blocking?
Yeah, just through the pass.
Oh, throwing the passing
protection
game
part
in
of
it?
things.
Well, after that, you just settle in and say, okay, well, you don't know if I'm a run or pass. So now I'll play your game of being, okay, let me just settle in. And that's what's the difference is after you establish the run game. That's why you hear coaches most time, let's get the run game started,
Right.
Opens up the pass. The passing game really, Kayla, listeners, is all about controlling your anxiety.
Really?
Oh, my gosh. To be in 3rd and 4, one, you're thinking, get the ball out. Second, you're thinking, don't get beat quick. And after that one, get my hands on them.
Okay.
It's the anxiety of performing, Kayla. That's why when coaches mention like that 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 12, you know that defensive tackle or DN is about to scream off the edge. And truthfully, you know it, and you know he's faster than you. He's probably got better bend than you do. It is legitimately controlling your anxiety of pass protecting.
So you're saying Dennis Daly's anxiety was at an all-time high this year?
Like, for real?
Hey, now.
No, that's a really good, dinger
I'm
right
just
there.
trying to, I mean.
But, yeah, for real, Kayla, that's why he couldn't probably guess. Guessing is probably the issue. That's why he couldn't figure out what to do because the Titans were in very bad downs and distances. Were they not for the most part?
Yeah.
And that's where it's just, God, what are they going to do? 3rd and 9, he can go either way. 3rd and 9, he can run through me the way the DN from Jacksonville did him. Like, it really is an art of understanding where is my strength and let me maximize my weaknesses as much as, or minimize my weaknesses as much as I possibly can. The anxiety of performing in pass pro, which is why the left tackle get paid so much money, that's what it really breaks down to. Can I control my nerves and see and punch what's in front of me? It's an art, y'all. That is teaching OL.
It's like
101
Picasso.
remote.
And that's Talking Lineman with Ramon Foster. Coming up next, halftime of the show already this morning as we dive into the NFL headlines where the first starting quarterback for the first game in Carolina Panthers history is now the team's 6th head coach. The coaching carousel begins to churn in the NFL. Halftime of the show next. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
Kyla.
At Genesis Diamonds, it's not just a new year. It's a new opportunity to bring you more choices, more value, more ways to celebrate your love. For this year, Genesis has expanded their selection of exquisite hand-picked diamonds from a half a carat to 15 carats, all shapes, all sizes, all at their famous no middleman prices. And this year especially, the folks at Genesis know price matters, and they're committed to delivering the best value every single day. They have also brought in even more exclusive designer jewelry, new cutting-edge fashion-forward rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, things you can't find anywhere else. And of course, Genesis is proud to offer the truly spectacular collection of luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces. They have all the most popular models in stock with no wait list and no restrictions. Get to Genesis in 2023 and let their non-commissioned experts help you celebrate those important milestones. Genesis always guarantees the best value, the highest quality, and the strongest warranties in the jewelry industry. Genesis Diamonds and luxury pre-owned Rolex timepieces.
It is 8 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. Frank Reich, the new head coach of the Carolina Panthers, now the team's sixth head coach. Previously the head man with the Indianapolis Colts. The New York Jets have hired former Denver Broncos head coach Nathaniel Hackett as their next offensive coordinator. They also hired former Titans offensive line coach Keith Carter, who was fired at the end of this past season. He will be the line coach / running game coordinator. And for the second straight year, Dan Quinn will remain the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator after taking interviews for head coaching positions elsewhere. Conference championship weekend start off with the NFC 2 o'clock kickoff. San Francisco at Philadelphia, Cincinnati at Kansas City. 5:30 will be the kickoff. Those games you can hear on 104.5 The Zone. Number 5, UConn defeated Tennessee in women's hoops last night, 84-67. Number 23, MTSU beat FAU 63-48. Men's hoops tomorrow, number 10, Texas at number 4, Tennessee. 5 o'clock tip-off, 4:30, Vol Network start here on The Zone. And to the ice at Bridgestone Arena last night, Predators 6, Devils 4, Matt Duchene, a goal and an assist. The Preds have won 3 in a row and 5 of their last 6. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Halftime of the show, hour number 3, getting started this morning. Welcome to Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Alongside 11-year NFL veteran Ramon Foster.
Yeah.
A journalist whose J is only capitalized. You use that little eraser on the end of the pencil for the dot you put over it. Kayla Anderson.
Yeah.
And the best producer in the world, Jonathan Schaefer.
The best producer in the world.
Of the world, Craig. The world. Frank Reich named the new starting quarterback of the Panthers back in 1995. Now becomes the team's 6th head coach. So cross another name off the offensive coordinator list for the Tennessee Titans.
That was one of the earlier conversations that came up, at least on the fan side of it, right? Well, it was like, hey.
And Mike Vrabel had some great things to say about him when he was let go.
Sure did. Was that Sirianni also that went off like that?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Yes.
He got he got heated.
That says a lot about him, does it not? As far as the way coaches vouch for him, I know they have their own community, but that says a lot about Frank Reich.
I like Nick Sirianni.
You do?
I do too.
Where's Sirianni's lineage from? Where is he from as far as coaching gene or coaching history?
Worked with Reich before.
He was in Indy beforehand. Because he's just jumped out on the scene and he's been straight Philly, like really.
He just seems like he was born there.
He does, doesn't he, Kayla?
I knew you were going to do that.
He was the Colts offensive coordinator from 2018 to 2020.
Okay. Good for Sirianni,
So there you
man.
go.
That's awesome. And they don't have to worry about anybody else coming to take their coach because he is the offensive guy.
So speaking of Frank, who was a quarterback at Carolina, I think that's the biggest question for me as he takes over this job. Because I'm sorry, you have not even close to sold me on Sam Darnold. You just haven't. I've never been a believer in Sam Darnold. I know that he showed some things this year, but he has never been a reliable quarterback.
What about what Daboll did with
Dayball
did with
Danny
Daniel
Dimes?
Jones?
He wasn't even, but he's been different places,
Yep.
and you still haven't been able to get a solid, I guess, consistent type of Sam Darnold, right? You've seen him in sample sizes. And I think if you're Frank Reich in the situation in Indy, look what he walked into there. They thought that they had something there. The quarterback situation then ended up blowing up in his face. So I just think it'll be interesting to see what they do with the future of the quarterback position there.
Carolina has which pick? Ninth.
And ninth.
Yep.
Yeah, there's talks of them going for a quarterback at the ninth pick. They have a lot of needs. They've got some good defensive players.
No, I'm not saying, but doesn't it start with quarterback?
Oh, yeah, for sure. But they go away from Steve Wilkes. who went 6-6 after Matt Rule was fired following a 1-4 start. And a New York City-based law firm that represents Wilks in his discrimination suit against the NFL for being fired after one season in 2018, as the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals released a statement yesterday saying, "We are shocked and disturbed that after the incredible job Coach Wilks did as the interim coach, including bringing the team back into playoff contention and garnering the support of players and fans, that he was passed over for the head coach position by David Tepper. Quote, there is a legitimate race problem in the NFL, and we can assure you that we will have more to say in the coming days."
I find it a little interesting. I thought that Wilks did a good job. I don't know what happens behind the scenes.
Me either.
But do you feel like Wilks could be a
Their
candidate
head
somewhere
coach,
else?
I just think they were probably looking for a more offensive type of guy.
Isn't
I
it the
don't-
first
I
time
don't-
they've had an offensive?
I won't
minded?
necessarily dive all the way into, Wilk's situation as far as, him deserving to have had that job or not. I just kind of look at it as that's a tough situation to go in. And of course, the narrative also with Tepper around his organization and stuff can be kind of iffy.
The owner.
I look at that and say, I'm okay with Wright. I'd have been okay with Wilks too. That one didn't register to me as he was unfairly done right there.
Mm-hmm.
It
just
happened to
didn't.
Rich Bisaccia last year, too, with the Raiders.
Yeah.
Special teams coach for
Well,
the
yeah,
Raiders,
I
who
remember
takes
that.
over in Vegas after John Gruden is let go.
Right.
And then he's now the special teams coach at the Green Bay Packers. He was not retained. He should have been retained.
Yeah.
That team made the playoffs.
But let me play DA here for a minute. Like, just because you rally a team, is that deserving of you being their new coach because you rallied them, or is it the results of that team being uncuffed from what the old coaches had them under?
Well, when the alternative is Josh McDaniels, then yes, you deserve
I'm
that
not
job
a
more
fan
than
of
Josh
McDaniels.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Rich
that's a
Bisaccia
whole
was
different-
more qualified for that position than Josh McDaniels.
I'm
Yeah.
with you on that one.
Well, that's also why Josh McDaniels is probably going to be another failed experiment in Vegas too. Like, I don't get that one. I'm with you. That's kind of tough for me.
But the Wilks one, I think there was a lot of talk of him possibly having a chance of being the head coach.
Yeah.
And then you guys were even a little shocked when I sent you that yesterday. Like, here you go.
Yep.
Frank's been hired.
There was
Not
no
shocked because of who it was, but
Sure.
you know.
Right. I'm not overly. I didn't see him having a chance. Just being real with y'all.
You thought he was
Wilkes,
going
that
to have
is.
to. Oh, okay.
Wilkes, no, I didn't. Just understanding that it was more or less. Well, maybe it was more of the guys. They weren't gonna give him credit for it.
But like I was saying, Will, and I don't know if this is, they've usually had defensive-minded guys as head coaches, correct?
Ron Rivera.
So maybe
Yeah.
they wanted to go in a
but
different
Matt Rule.
direction.
Matt Rule
Obviously
was
an
offensive.
offensive
But that
guy.
didn't
was-
work.
It didn't
Yeah.
work, but what I'm saying is they went
Right.
in an offensive direction.
Well, they
and
tried.
flamed out.
At the college level.
That's one element where NFL coaches still have protection is if you are a quarterback guy, doesn't matter where you failed or how long you failed, the NFL has still not come around to the fact that defensive-minded head coaches are still okay to hire.
They are.
Mike McDaniel did a pretty good job in Miami and got them to the playoffs. Young, wonderkind offensive mind.
Yeah.
Matt LaFleur in Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
What Carolina's dream scenario would be to do what Amy Adams Strunk and the Titans did in 2018
Right.
and hire the defensive-minded head coach, bring in Frank Reich for a head coach interview, and then ask, hey, you want to just stay here and be our offensive coordinator for the guy that was just here? But he likely wouldn't have taken that because I think he probably knew he had other options.
You're right about that. Do you hire offensive or defensive head coach, though, Will? Because what is the absolute job of a head coach is to manage everything. Like, is Sirianni calling the plays in Philly? Is it actually Andy Reid that's calling them? You know what I'm saying, as far as these gurus? But then you look at Vegas and you say to yourself, McVay's supposed to be this guru also. Like, what changed this year? You're supposed to at least make lemonade out of lemons if you're given a bad card, right?
Injuries.
Even despite that,
I know,
though. You
but-
know, like, you're supposed to be the guru, or is it, man, I need the right pieces to highlight me, plus a good staff?
Les Snead went all in for last year. Von
Oh,
Miller
yeah.
wasn't back. Odell Beckham wasn't back. Allen Robinson was there. Robert Woods wasn't there. They made a lot of big swings again, and what were doubles and home runs last year were strikeouts this year.
Who's our offensive gurus in the league right now?
In the league right now, the LaFleurs. I mean, you're talking about head
Shanahan.
coaches
Yeah,
or
head
offensive
coaches,
coordinator?
head coaches.
Kyle Shanahan's got to be number one.
Shanahan's
Gotta
up
be right
there. Is McVay in that conversation too?
Oh, absolutely.
I'd still put it, yeah.
Despite the year, you're giving it to the injuries.
The guy still went to 2 Super
Oh,
Bowls.
yeah. And they hire a ton of guys under him.
Okay, so he's due a low end, is what we're saying. Okay.
Half of the other young offensive minds in the league coached under him at some point.
Okay.
Yeah. Definitely those guys.
Andy Reid.
McCarthy's a defensive guy, right?
Yeah.
But he's got a really good OC.
Who, Mike McCarthy?
Yeah.
Offensive guy.
McCarthy's an offensive guy?
Yeah.
It's offensive line, right?
Huh.
He's a guy.
I mean, he's not a good one, but
Yeah. I'm
He's
just trying
just
to
a
figure
guy.
out where's the correlation. Arthur Smith went 7-10 this year also, offensive guy.
Sean Payton, offensive.
Yeah, Sean Payton, offensive. So, okay, where's
Brian
our defensive
Dable,
team?
Well,
Brian
though, with
Dable,
Arthur's-
offensive guy.
And this is where, when it goes to the offensive-defensive argument, Arthur Smith there in Atlanta with, for the second year in a row, a dreadful roster.
Yeah.
Dreadful. And no quarterback. Sorry, Marcus. No quarterback.
Yep.
Yeah, Arthur Smith's going to succeed there.
He's going to succeed there.
I think.
Give him more
I think
time.
next season, I like Atlanta in the NFC South.
I wonder, are those his quarterbacks, though, or his quarterback for the future?
Well, Desmond Ritter might be the
that's
guy.
Probably him, is Ritter.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, that cap charge for Matt Ryan significantly decreases going in the next season. So you traded away Calvin Ridley to get picks from Jacksonville. I think Atlanta could be one of those dark horse teams that steps up and takes a big step forward next year. I just think the world of Arthur Smith, man.
Yeah.
I do.
Now, don't forget about Jeff Saturday, y'all.
Oh,
It's shaping up for him to be
I
higher.
choose violence.
The Indianapolis Colts.
Jim, if you're listening, we really love Jeff, and we think that Will Levis in Kentucky blue looked so great playing against the local team here that we should see him in Colts blue playing against the local team.
You know what? I'm going to pump my brakes on Levis just a little while.
Oh, no.
I am.
Ramon.
No, I
He's
know.
going to the Kuiper side.
No,
you
no,
doing?
no. Just in general, if we man, there's the story every single year of the guys. Like, I look at Levis and I do say, okay, I can understand. I understand it more now. He's athletic enough. He has a strong enough arm. And if he's in a somewhat better situation, because this is the thing too, Carolina, if he does go there, they have a left tackle. They have a really good right tackle.
When did this switch happen?
It's
So,
just.
are you saying
because
are you saying he's Daniel Jones?
I'm looking at the prospect now and not his school.
But what I'm
That's
saying
where
is,
I've really said it.
are you saying he's Daniel Jones, where Jones was picked too high, but has become a productive quarterback in the league?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing with Levis
Yeah.
for me is that, no, I don't think he's amongst those top guys, but he's not a piece of garbage either when he had an offensive line that crapped out and they changed play callers his senior year. The guy can play. The guy will play in the NFL
Yeah.
and can be a good NFL player. He's just not the number one overall pick in the
No.
draft.
Let me clarify. I don't think he's number one. I think he's more Alex Smith-like.
I was going to say Mac Jones.
I think he's better than Mac Jones. I give him. I ain't think much.
I think he's
thought,
tougher than Mac Jones.
Yeah, I
I'll
thought
tell you
Mac
that
Jones
much.
was a product of just Alabama treatment. I do think that. I think Bill Belichick thought they can get another robot like Brady. I see that being the case.
When in reality, he just needed Brock Purdy to do that.
Well, but to Ramon's
Exactly.
point, he's getting dunked on because he's from Kentucky.
Yeah.
So you're LA now?
I don't.
Am I
I don't think that's fair.
Levis advocate?
A Levis advocate? No, I'm not a Levis
Okay.
advocate.
Just
I do
being
believe
clear.
guys can flourish better in the pros. Kentucky's football program itself was in shambles this year. And I did say, and I still do believe that when you're him, you're supposed to will some wins out. And he didn't do a good job of that, but they had, I think, one of the highest rated offensive linemen transferring out to Florida now.
Yeah.
Like,
He's getting dunked on because he had a QBR of 60.
and the teams he was supposed to beat, he didn't. Like,
Yeah,
he was
we all
supposed
said
to
he had
run.
a bad year.
Yeah, he had a
did.
bad year.
Yeah.
So I'm taking the value of what his prospect could look like in an NFL setting, I think, more or less now.
It's just my issue with this whole process is when guys have bad years, they don't get dinged for it, especially
That's
at
true.
that position.
At that position.
At quarterback,
At that
yeah.
position, all
You're
Mel
right.
Kiper sees is what he could do and what he did with Liam Cohen as his offensive coordinator
Yeah.
before he left for the Rams. All I'm saying is if you're going to take a quarterback in the first round, he better raise the
Yeah.
level of everybody
I
around
agree.
him.
That's very true.
Because, and that's where it switched for me, is I watched that Ole Miss game and just saw him get killed behind that line. Said, you know what? If I'm taking you in the top 10, figure it out.
I'm with that, too. I say that, too.
Joe Burrow figures it out in the NFL. That's why he is a transcendent next-level quarterback. That's why Will Levis will never be on that level.
I'll
But
say
who's
this.
putting him in Joe Burrow's level?
Yeah,
though?
no,
Mel
it ain't
Kiper?
that.
Todd McShay?
Kuiper's paid
all
for that,
right.
too.
Scouts?
We
That's
can talk
part
more
of
about
their-
this in the next segment because that's a much larger discussion.
That's part of what they
That's
like
the
to sell
discussion
too.
I'm-
Is we're stuck on this. Mel's been on Will since day one. Will Levis since day one, and he
He
hasn't
has.
gone away from him, even with all the stuff that happened at Kentucky. I feel like he's just trying to sell his point of view.
Yeah, never
I'm-
forget. I'm sorry, Kayla. Go ahead.
I'm not buying it, and you better not speak it into existence in Seattle.
Never
Let's make that
forget.
clear.
This
What
is
pick
the
are y'all?
season of lies.
Seattle also is the fifth pick.
Especially when it comes to
lies.
quarterbacks.
He's been saying it, though, since like
Yeah, that's why I said don't speak it into existence.
Yeah, and he's been
Zip
using
it.
a Floby since the 1990s. Who cares?
I don't know what that is.
Of course you don't.
Okay.
Don't
Coming
get
up
up
next,
during the break. You can use company Wi-Fi. It's okay.
more AFC Championship preview, and we'll take your phone calls. Haven't had a chance to hear from the people yet this morning. 615-737-1045. As we take a look at the lessons learned from Kansas City's losses to Cincinnati, and I want to ask you guys the question: does the law of averages maybe help Kansas City a little bit? Because surely you couldn't lose to Cincinnati again, right? Which way does that go? We'll have that discussion next as well. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
If you have a wet basement or crawl space, it's time to call United Structural Systems. We've all heard about these guys for a long time, and for good reasons. That's because they serve Middle Tennessee since 1994, and they've helped thousands of satisfied residential customers. They are the go-to company when it comes to foundation repair and waterproofing. And if you have a wet basement or crawl space, you don't have to put up with that. Water intrusion and moisture could give you all sorts of problems down the road, and you want to get this fixed. It could be because you have poor drainage or surface water flooding over the walls, or underwater pressure forcing water into your basement. It could be a plumbing leak. You just don't know. But the team at United Structural Systems will find out why you have a wet basement or crawl space and will give you a plan to fix it. And if you do decide to move forward, best part, you don't have to pay a dime until the work is done and you are satisfied. So get that free estimate from the people I trust. Go to USSTN.com. Again, that's USSTN.com. Or if you like to be on the phone, call them 615-227-2275. United Structural Systems.
It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, a 104.5 The Zone.
Jump on it.
Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling with you.
Jump on that.
Friday, and we're acting like it with Jonathan Schaefer's
There we
dance
are.
moves in our studio here this
Shake
morning.
dancing? That's my God.
You can't help but move your hips at that part.
And there it is. Ooga, ooga, ooga. All right, anyway. So talking AFC Championship and taking your phone calls at 615-737-1045. Good piece by Nate Taylor in The Athletic about the lessons learned from Kansas City's losses under Patrick Mahomes to Joe Burrow to that Bengals team.
He did what?
Lessons learned from Kansas City's losses to Cincinnati.
Savage, stop texting
Are you
me,
looking
Savage.
at cars again over there?
Shave demerit this man.
That is a demerit. I'm multitasking way too much
We
right
get three
now.
people in here. Ramon just said, I'm just going to go. Ramon said, I
was
look like a Build-A-Bear today. Let me go customize a
This
Build-A-Bear.
was
on
Ramon's
mine.
response.
They do.
Straight up, man. I got people texting me talking about this is how you feel about Levis right now? I'm like, hey,
boy.
man, that's what I was replying back to. Like,
Yeah.
hey, chill.
You're allowed to be a Will advocate, just not Will Levis.
Just not Levis. You
LA.
say that. He going to drop and the Titans going to draft him.
I know you're a
Okay,
Will advocate.
That's the
don't you-
stupidest thing I've
Don't
ever
put that in
heard.
the universe. don't put that evil on me, Ricky
Hey,
Bobby.
man. It's all good, man. Lessons learned, though. What we got? Sometimes
Repeat.
we just do.
We're going to go to the phone. 615-737-1045.
Denied.
I am the captain now. Bubba is in Dixon, one of our favorites.
Bubba!
With us this morning. Hello, Bubba. How are
What's up,
you?
Bubba?
Hi, friends. It's good to hear some friendly voices after the week I've been having.
Hey.
Yeah, I need some moan therapy there, bud.
What happened, bro? Talk to me.
Ramon, Captain Troll has struck again. That is AKA my wife. And yeah, walked out this morning and guess what was laying on the table there? Yeah, it was 3 Bengals shirts.
No.
Oh, no.
Definitely not for me. Definitely not for me. For her, and she's done brought the girls in on it too.
Oh, yeah.
Come on, Bubba. What? Come on, dog.
I threaten not to feed them. I'm firing up the smoker this weekend, and I'm like, no, because Kayla, you hadn't had the opportunity, and trust me, we will meet. I will let you meet
We will.
everybody. Yeah. So my wife likes to. If the Titans are playing the Raiders, she'll go to Goodwill and find a Raiders shirt and just walk around like, "What's up?" I've been a Raiders fan my whole life. And she knows my hatred, and I'm just not a fan of A, the Bengals, B, Burrow and Jamar. SEC.
I'm with you.
all that. I don't know what to do, Ramon. I've threatened not letting them eat my cooking this weekend. I've done everything. I think she even ordered dog collars. She's gone above and beyond and ordered 2 dog collars too that have Bengals on it. And even got my oldest daughter going, "Ooh, Sam Hubbard, it's so cute. That's my boyfriend." I'm like, "All right, what?"
He is a cute kid.
This is not what we're doing, okay? This is the wintertime, and we're not here for this, Bubba, okay? And what I'm telling you, what you just got to do, sometimes you just got to shut them off, okay? Like, cut
It's
the
kinda hard.
cards. I know, because you're the sole male in the house, and that's a tough place to be at. But hear me out, man. Don't do the unexpected. Don't fire up the grill this weekend. That'll get them. That'll get them right there.
Yeah, but that'll also get me. See, I'm taking it. I just stay outside, turn a projector on, and watch The Office or something.
Oh,
I don't know
perfect.
what to do.
Sounds great.
I mean,
What time should we be there?
Hey, come on. Hey, listen, I'm not Ramon. If I tell you to come eat, we're gonna eat.
Hey!
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
Let's
You know
go,
what?
Bubba.
Bubba, you can call at any time and steer the conversation wherever you like.
So
love you, Ramon.
moan therapy is to call in the trash moan. I get it now. Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
Look, hey, listen. All my thoughts and everything are just going. They're going every which way. Sorry, took it straight. I didn't mean it.
That's what happens.
But it is true. If
It's true.
This is true.
Okay,
well,
thanks.
you know what?
This was better. This made me feel better. Just so I could
Dunk on
complain to
moan.
Ramon because
That's
he
it.
doesn't like the Bengals either.
I
so.
don't, and I'm with you. It's tough talking about how good they are, But when it's good, it's good. We can just appreciate it and not buy gear. How about that?
Bubba, you hang in there this weekend.
Thanks, guys. I will call back Monday and report if I made
Please
it.
do.
Okay, thank
Please
you.
do. Thank you, Bubba.
Appreciate Tots
Appreciate
and
the call.
pairs.
Therapy hour
Tots
here.
and pairs. Look at that, man. We become an entertainment group, also therapy. Food connoisseur, like city naming is what we're into. Watches, yes.
We do it all here.
O-line play.
That's the slogan.
So interesting.
We do it
This
all.
there's some Seahawks analysis here, Kayla, from Mike Sawyer on Twitter.
Okay.
Did a Seahawks mock draft. Actually traded up. And here were his first 4 picks: Whopper.
God, what?
3rd and 4th round, he took junior double. 5th round triple. In the 5th round, Tennessee quarterback Whopper, and then the 6th round at BK.
Oh, what? Have it your way.
You rule.
I thought we got away from that.
I thought we were
At any given moment, a Whopper will just appear.
What's wrong with you, dog?
I hardly know her. That is an actual tweet, though. Mike
is.
Sawyer said,
That's pretty funny.
I'd be impressed if John Schneider could pull this draft off, and it's just
That's actually
first
awesome.
round Georgia lineman Whopper.
That's pretty funny.
That's messed up, Will.
That's pretty funny. Have it your way.
You rule.
Okay, they need to buy that, and they need to be playing that on the commercial. That's
like,
gold.
Have you seen Mad Men? Kayla,
Yes.
you seen it? This is what Don Draper was speaking of right here. Finding that ad that works. Every time I hear one that works on me, because I try to fight it. I used to tell my wife all the time, you are a sucker for advertisement. Every time she hears something, she's like, hey, you want to go have that? And be like, Keish, like, why do you fall for advertisement like this? This BK one got me. I'm going to be real. Like, the jingle.
Did you really, though, go get something at BK then?
Yeah.
No, you did not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, crazy.
What'd
My
you
kids
get?
wanted it too. I was just like, this is freaking crazy to
Don't
me.
reward this behavior.
Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness. What did you get,
Advertisement,
though?
just a Whopper.
I'll go hungry before I go to Burger King now.
I made my cheat day like decent enough. Like legit, and was like, all right, y'all, here we go.
If there's a salad place next to a Burger King,
Well, don't you dare trash
I'm gonna
salad
go to a
places.
salad place.
No, don't you dare.
if there's a barren wasteland.
There's nothing better than a great salad. You understand
I
me?
love salad bars.
Don't you dare go there. Like that. I think what's the name of the lettuce place that you can go to? They like got a wall
Chopped?
full of chopped with
Chopped
a
Chopped
T.
is good.
so
No,
good.
don't. No,
No, it's so good.
No. You don't reserve the right to love Chopped anymore because you said if there was a salad place in BK, you put salad places like it was third world out here. Will
I'm saying
that's
like
not what we doing?
I mean, they're better than Burger.
Come on, man.
Chops Mexican Caesar salad. Oh
Never
my
had
goodness.
I actually
like the
hadn't been
Caesar
into a
with
Chops.
chicken.
I hadn't been into it yet. Is it
Anyway.
legit?
Oh, it's good. Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Back to
try
the
it.
phones.
All right, first down.
615-737-1045. Our resident Bengal
that's
expert.
not the joke, Ramon. It's third
third
down.
down.
We'll
Oh, it's
explain
first
it
down.
later.
It's Joe Burrow. First
Our
down.
resident Bengal, Danny in the borough. Danny of the borough.
All right, I'm gonna walk out.
Good morning, Danny.
Moan, did you just gag when you heard my name? What the hell, dude? I thought we were friends.
We are. I know you about to come in here with the Cincy talk, and I was more or less just like, I've already complimented you, Danny, and it's just
I
like,
know.
pile it on. I'll keep my headphones on. Here we go.
Listen, YouTube app has a function where you can clip sound bites from the show, and I've saved it. I listen to it every day where Moan's saying nice things about the Bengals.
See?
It's heaven to me.
See, I can be
But no,
fair in my
I'm
job.
going to be nice. I'm going to be nice, and you're gagging at the sound of my name. I don't even know what to do now. I might have to shift gears and turn that.
No, good Danny is good. We're good with good Danny, not evil Danny. Here we go.
No, I was just calling to say, hey, Bubba and Dixon, man, it sounds like you've got a keeper on your hands. I don't know what you're so angry about. She's buying you Bengals stripes. Your daughter's hot on Hubbard. I'm about that life, man. She sounds like she can come have supper with me if you want to have barbecue by yourself. We'll take her in.
Did Danny just shoot a shot at
Danny
Bubba's
said,
old
Mr.
lady?
Steal Your
Well,
Girl
maybe.
real quick on a Friday morning.
It's a Friday. What are you supposed to do?
That's how we do. Bleep you, Bubba and Dixon. It's Who Day all the way, baby. Go Bengals.
There's Danny
I
of the
told
borough.
y'all they were villains, man.
They're feisty. That jungle is shaking.
Bubba got his
Incredible.
boots on. I know he's ready to come up to Nashville now. He ain't in Dixon no more.
You, Aaron Rodgers.
So, are you ready for what the lessons learned from Kansas City's losses to Cincinnati? You ready now?
Oh,
your
we're
phone put
still.
away?
That was a question.
We're going to pay off the tees now.
Pushed it away. Well, let's roll, baby.
Including the regular season and divisional round victory last week, the Chiefs defense averaged 13.5 snaps with a missed tackle, where the first defender who made contact with the ball carrier didn't make the tackle.
Wow.
In each of the last 2 games against the Bengals, the Chiefs have 25 of those plays.
Do they really?
Where the first guy to get to the ball carrier didn't make the tackle.
Since he's physical.
Chiefs can't tackle these Bengals skill players.
Somebody said something. Who was it? Was it on this show or did I hear a national broadcast say it? No, I'm going to say it because it was so good. I was just like, oh, wow. Somebody said the Bills have a indoor team in an outdoor environment.
That was on this show.
That was on here, right?
That was Mike Tanier.
Mike Tanier. There we go.
Said the Buffalo played like a warm weather team from Miami in cold weather.
Yes.
Yet they're a cold weather team.
Kansas City has a little bit of that, it seems like, when you mention something like that. Like, where is the physicality? Like, oh, you're big and you have the bark, but where are you actually, like, biting folks at? Like, that's kind of how I've always just viewed them in a sense. Like, they got some supreme players on their team. They always do defensively. Chris Jones, hands down, one of the best players.
He's good.
He's that good, is he not? And their back end is usually pretty good, too. And the linebackers, like, they have some dudes on that team. I hate you, Will. I have some dudes on that team.
Back end was pretty good.
But they do miss tackles. Like, Dunlap is a stud up front, but Dunlap will get there, look good doing it, and then his hands slip away from him. You know, as far as, like, grabbing the quarterback, that is an issue for them. It is. Like, Chris Jones will swim move you, and then he'll go for a sack on the quarterback, and the quarterback a duck. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, just make the tackle. They have a hard issue sometimes just making the tackle as a team.
Yeah, they do. And that's been one of their issues playing against Jamar Chase, who has gained a league-high 109 yards after the catch over expected.
Oh, baby.
It's way too much.
The difference between actual yards and expected yards on an individual play against man coverage this season, including the playoffs. In 3 matches against the Chiefs, Jamar Chase has recorded 9 receptions on 13 targets for 138 and a touchdown against man coverage.
Why are you playing a man? But the thing is, if you go zone on him, then that's when the run game with Joe Mixon gets you.
Exactly.
That is – are they their Kansas City kryptonite? Like, legitimately, like that's the conversation right now. The one team you can't get by.
I like Cincy this weekend.
And that's my thing, too, you guys. If they beat them again, and for what, the 3rd time this season, what do you start saying, like, okay, Patty Mahomes, like, what's going on here? Because I feel like Patrick Mahomes is always going to get the benefit of the doubt because he's a heck of a quarterback. He is very, very special. But at what point, when you cannot beat the Bengals and get over that hump, are you going to start getting way more criticism?
Or the criticism.
And I'm not saying he's not that guy. I'm just saying, when is the criticism really going to start to boil up there?
You brought up the probability of it. Like, what would this be, 4 straight? If they get the win Sunday?
Believe so.
Yeah.
That's
and a lot of it up there.
That's a mental lock at that point, too. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do? You know you're good enough. You have all the talent offensively, and you still can't beat them. And, again, the defense is good enough, but is it an actual breakdown of physicality? That's one thing I do know about the Bengals is they're going to be physical as heck, and they're going to let you know about it, too. Their ability to grind you out is something that can't be overstated enough. That's what they do.
So here's my question now is, as we kind of go to the break here, does this give Kansas City a little bit of an advantage of like, all right, surely this can't happen again? Because for me as a fan and a neutral fan in this and someone who would look at this line and try to bet this game, I'm thinking to myself, you're not getting over Mahomes 4 times in a row. The law of averages has to come to fruition at some point. I just feel like
I know they're telling you he is.
As tight as the margin for error is in that stadium against that team and that environment, it doesn't take much, though, for that guy to figure it out.
Who wins this weekend then? Us or Vegas? Like, that's the real question. Because
the answer is always Vegas.
It's always Vegas, I feel like.
Oh, my God. This is such a toss-up, though. Because I'm picking Kansas City. I am. I feel like y'all are picking. Yeah, I feel like y'all are picking.
So you think he's ready to go? It's not going to affect him in terms of the ankle.
This is like taking an exam and it's C, 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 and you're like, oh, it's got to be a different letter, and then it's C again. That's the way I feel about it.
That's how I failed all those.
That's just how I feel about this one.
I get it.
It's like, is can't be that again.
Well, we mentioned it with Rocky Boiman earlier in the show, but there was one shift that the Bengals defense made against Kansas City in the second half last year that might be different this time around because Mahomes isn't 100%. We'll dive into the more next-gen stats from the second half last year and how the Bengals could go in a different direction in trying to stop Patrick Mahomes in Burrowhead in Sunday's AFC Championship. That's next. Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
All right. Well, happy to be joined by Dean Glassick of Arbor Art Tree and Shrub, your expert in trees and shrubs right here in the Middle Tennessee area. And Dean, the harsh weather, today's kind of nasty out there too. This year, it has taken a toll on our trees and shrubs around our homes. How can Arbor Art Tree and Shrub help us out with that?
Yes, hey, Kayla, good morning.
Morning.
That's a great question. Listen, we've been around for 29 years. I've been serving the 105 zone community people that listen, all the listeners. We've been doing a lot of work for you guys for a long time. And what I want to tell you is we're going to always be transparent and honest with you about any service we offer. And this year, we're really pushing our plant health care program. We have different varieties we can set you up on if we can come out and take a look around and tell you what we can do to help you maintain your investment around your home. You know, you put a lot of money into your landscaping, and then next thing you know, some of the things aren't being taken right, the cultural practices that need to be done, and you start losing plants or they start getting stressed, and that'll pull bugs in. So we want you to give us a call at 615-299-9999. Again, Arbor Art Tree Care and Shrub Care. So we just want you to remember that. We're trying to make sure people know that we don't just do trees and tree work. We also plant. We do air knives for compaction and soil, do the things that need to be done around your home. I looked outside this morning. I was looking at my azaleas, and we're just all really concerned about how they're going to pop out of this freeze we had in December. So we can help you with that. Just give us a call, 299-9999. We want to serve you. Thanks.
Hey, Dean and his crew, definitely the experts when it makes everything around your house looking good. It's Arbor Art Tree and Shrub. Check them out online at arborart.net or call them at 615-299-9999. That's Arbor Art Tree and Shrub.
104.5 The Zone, headed to the Senior Bowl thanks to Scoreboard Bar and Grill. Tune in as Ramon, Kayla, and Will and Buck Rising broadcast live from the 2023 Reese's Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, Tuesday through Thursday next week. Brought to you by Scoreboard, also Two Rivers Ford in there. Scoreboard, football, great food, live music, some good booze as well. For more info, visit 1045thezone.com/events today.
More conference championship previews for the rest of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling with you, 615-737-1045. I thought Kayla was raising her finger to make a point, and she was discoing.
She was
I was discoing.
Yeah,
you know
right.
that little
Disco.
emoji?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That little flex.
So we mentioned it earlier with Rocky Boiman that in the second half against Kansas City last year, Cincinnati did not blitz. They were dropping 8 and really running that kind of bracket coverage that so many teams now have started to use against speedy wide receivers like Tyreek Hill and quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes. Keep it in front of you. They defended 45% of the Chiefs' second half passing plays by dropping 8 in coverage. And that was the second half where Patrick Mahomes last year was just 7 of 13 for 59 yards with an interception and 2 sacks. Do you feel like in this game, Lou Anarumo, the Bengals defensive coordinator, has to change it up again and come after Mahomes? Because I just don't see that working as well when Mahomes is going to be more willing on a stable platform to just stand in the pocket and wait for somebody to get open.
I think Mahomes thrives outside of the pocket, though. You know what I'm saying? Well, I think that's the thing about him. Like, Patrick Mahomes will have to prove to me that he can do those things. You know what I'm saying? I would keep him in the box as much as I possibly could, especially if his run ability ain't there. He probably don't want too much at all anyway, so he would have to prove it to me. Quarterbacks that are uncomfortable doing what they do, like, that's where you get them. Like, Brady's thing was get him off his pivot. Remember? Like, get Brady off his pivot. That's when you got him. When even if you're not hitting him, if you're around Brady's legs, then it's a problem because he's not looking down the field the way he needs to. Patrick feels better probably on a mountain cruise control course. You know what I'm saying? Just corners and angles and speeding up and slowing down. I do the exact same thing until he proved to me I need a different game plan. People do the same stuff to Lamar. Box him in. Let the rush up the middle crash him.
So you're saying, and you kind of were saying, I'm going to go with Kansas City in this one.
Yeah.
So you think that the ankle is going to be fine enough? And I've heard there is, like, it's been miraculous in terms of his recovery. And if not, they're really painting a great picture up there. But you think he will be good enough to do what he does?
Yeah.
When it comes to being Patrick Mahomes and being able to get outside.
I'm a prisoner of Patrick Mahomes moments. That's where I'm at, legitimately, this weekend.
It's there till it's not.
Yes, and then the addition of Pacheco, also the running game. Their
Has to be,
O-line,
I feel like
the best O-line in this thing is Philly's, but I think Kansas City's is just that tight as far as overall unit. That's where I settle in on if they get Cincy behind. If Kansas City stops Joe Mixon, that is the catalyst for this one. Can they stop Joe Mixon? And I think Pacheco, as far as the Kansas City run game, would be really good if Trey and those boys up front can move that line of scrimmage. And DJ Reader is he's up the middle as
Hill
as a cog. Oh my gosh, like legitimately, they got some big boys. Kansas City has to have their mind right. Not only are they athletic, but to your point, Will, they're big. They got big bodies up there.
Would you say Cincinnati is the most balanced offense remaining in the playoffs?
Would I say they are? No, Philly.
Really?
Heck,
because they're more of a run offense.
Philly?
Yeah.
But they opened up the game against the Giants with like 3-4 passes down the field for a tutty. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have the ability to.
And you can make the argument San Francisco can do both also.
They can do both, but
I don't want to give that much credit, though, yet.
And we'll do NFC coming up in the last hour. But
I'd say the most balanced is probably Philly. If I'm speaking of, AFC versus AFC, the most balanced team offensively, it may be Cincy.
It feels like it is.
And Danny brought up a good
Despite
joint.
their
A joint?
Yep.
A good joint.
Well,
A good point. He said Pirine as much as
Easy there,
Mixon
Kyla.
using both of them.
Yeah.
And he's
for
not
real.
wrong.
And what's crazy, Pirine is only giving you about maybe 30, 40 yards in that. But it also, there's no break for your defense.
Right.
So, so what I think is this. I'm picking Kansas City to win because I believe Patrick has way too much to lose, way too much criticism coming his way. And none of that matters in the grand scheme of games. I'm just hoping his competitive spirit takes over.
Mm-hmm. Coming up next, fourth and final hour of the show and final hour of the week. Already.
Hey.
Hour number 20 of the week. End of the 20th quarter.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
20th quarter.
We do 4 hours and for 5
I
days a
knew
week.
that. I got my college degree.
I'm
up
bad
on
at
my wall.
math, but I'm not that bad.
Do not like math.
Yeah, you just shocked me with the numbers. I was like, wait, what? Oh, yeah, that's right. This is 20th hour.
Hour number 20. That's right. Coming up next, we reset the headlines. Take a look at Tennessee and Texas and some key storylines going into that matchup tomorrow in Thompson Bowling Arena. 4's up. On Middle Tennessee. We get better in the fourth quarter on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. 104.5 The Zone.
9:01. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. Frank Reich, the new head coach of the Carolina Panthers, now the team's sixth head coach. The New York Jets have hired Nathaniel Hackett as their next offensive coordinator. Jets also hired former Titans offensive line coach Keith Carter, who was fired at the end of this past season. He will be the line coach / running game coordinator. Dan Quinn will remain the Dallas Cowboys defensive coordinator. To the conference championship games this weekend, start with the NFC. San Francisco and Philadelphia. Kickoff scheduled for 2 o'clock. Cincinnati at Kansas City. Kick scheduled for 5:30. You can hear both games and the Super Bowl right here on 104.5 The Zone. Women's hoops last night. Biggest rivalry in women's college basketball. Number 5 UConn defeated Tennessee 84-67. Number 23 MTSU beat FAU 63-48. Men's hoops tomorrow. Number 10 Texas at number 4 Tennessee. 5 o'clock tip. 4:30 Vol Network coverage begins on The Zone. And to the Ice Bridgestone Arena last night. Downtown Predators 6, Devils 4. Matt Duchene, a goal and an assist. The Preds have won 3 in a row in 5 of their last 6. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Into the fourth and final hour of the show, Friday edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, alongside Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Jonathan Schaefer, our producer. We talk Tennessee and Texas. We talk AFC and NFC championship games, and we continue the conversation on the phone lines at 615-737-1045, taking a look at the NFL headlines where Dan Quinn once again has told Denver, Arizona, and Indianapolis that he's got unfinished business in Dallas, and his complete focus is helping the Cowboys play championship ball in 2023. So while Cowboys fans have shifted their focus to the Duke Blue Devils and to the New York Yankees, Dan Quinn has told NFL teams with head coaching vacancies that he's not leaving.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll say this. I don't blame Dan Quinn. I think coaching for Dallas, despite, Jerry Jones' involvement, probably is one of the best gigs you can have, depending on who your head coach is. If McCarthy isn't, they grind you in, total just, dictator, ruler type of guy with how he goes about it. Like, Dallas is a very attractive big city, big, exposure that you can have, and they still have a good team. If he's over that defense and all things are right in the world, why would I leave to take on Indy or Houston or one of those organizations that you're not going to get that same fanfare? That's like, well, if New York is actually that good, everything's good. You can make a dinner reservation at the most exclusive place. Like, those perks would have to matter when you got Jerry Jones in your back pocket.
Yeah, I think so. I think, look, Jerry Jones, I won't go on that in terms of, I think sometimes he gets in his own way.
Oh, yeah.
But that franchise is always going to be on the radar. And I think maybe sometimes as a coach, you realize that grass isn't always greener on the other side. And maybe he's at the point where he's like, look at the defense I have. Yeah. Look at the players I'm able to work with.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing.
And for instance, this defense this year was only giving up 20 points a game. That's 5th in the NFL. He's got studs on that team. He's got one of the best safeties around with a really good front four, too. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't change. Who's forcing it?
Well, I can think of a large range of reasons why he wants to stay and wait for the right situation. Like, I can think of 3 to 28 reasons.
Yeah.
3 to 20 to 28 to 3 reasons why he will. Okay.
I see what you did there.
Dan Quinn already went through it a little bit as the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons during that Super Bowl. So I think he can.
What'd you say? That pressure's a little immense right there, Will?
That's right.
Okay.
But the Cowboys became the first team to lead the NFL in takeaways in consecutive years since the 1972 and 1974 Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's good.
That's not bad.
That's not bad at all. Like I said, I wouldn't leave. Not right now. Their OC, too, if I'm not mistaken, Will told people no, too.
Kellen Moore?
Will Sr.? I mean,
Will
Kellen
Sr.
Moore.
Oh, God.
My twin.
There we
Your
go.
twin.
I know.
I say it in a joking way, but that team, like their core is good. Figuring out their free agency and Zeke and stuff like that, or Dak for that instance. I'd rather have those problems than to have to go teach a young quarterback how to play NFL ball or go to a defense that's giving up almost 40 points a game. I wouldn't want those issues. Let me stay put, to your point, Will, for the correct job that's going to present itself. I'm staying in Dallas.
Well, then does everybody want to be? I mean, at some point, does every one of those coaches want to be a head coach?
I think so, yeah. Dan Quinn was one.
No, I know he was.
Yeah. And just sometimes just because it's in front of you doesn't mean it's the best take for you, because the pressure becomes a whole lot more. And then you leave a situation where everything's all good for you, and then they put you on this king pedestal as being the new head coach of a football team. Next thing you know, you find yourself in a Cliff Kingsbury type of situation. Like the fact that Cliff Kingsbury bought a one-way ticket to Thailand, okay, to
Has
get away.
Has anybody heard from him?
They said he left his phone, too.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But that's what it can do to you. Like, he didn't have to leave college. He was already fell in there anyway, but now he's a has-been when it comes down to expectation of being a head coach in the NFL anymore until he matures up. Do maybe a Josh McDaniels type of wash around, but even still, we're watching Josh McDaniels fall into that same conversation of, all right, buddy, it might be a you problem.
Well, speaking of really good defense, Tennessee and Texas tomorrow in Thompson-Boling Arena, going to be a good one, and really the first good team that's played Tennessee in Thompson-Boling this year, because Kentucky is still seen as an 11 seed by Joe Lunardi in bracketology. But an interesting stat earlier this week when Tennessee played Georgia, there's this new stat that's defined as a kill shot, which is what Ramon does to me when I compliment other teams of the AFC North, that Tennessee has had 21 10-0 runs this year, where they go on a run of double digits or more at one given moment. Tennessee has surrendered only 3 of those this year. Whoa. Only 3 teams have gone on 10-0 runs against this team. A credit to the defense that they've been able to play, but I think Tennessee is going to roll against Texas.
I hope they do, because that game last year, I want to get back for that, Will.
Absolutely.
I want it for Barnes, too. We're speaking about, nobody really paying attention to this Vols basketball team. Well, get a win like this. And not just that, like, beat them down. Brian Rice told us earlier the students are back in town in Knoxville. Make it a headache.
I agree.
Get them before they come to the SEC. I'm into all of that. You know what,
Yeah.
Will? Like I said, I might not be anti-Will Levis because he's not at UK anymore. But when it's SEC ball or like really going at it, I'm getting in competitive mode right now. Screw them. Like, that's where I'm at. You're the fake UT. Who is it? It's UT in Texas. That's the way I'm looking at it from here on out. That was the best thing you said this week, man.
Ramon is saying horns down, and I think he's
Easy
exactly
horns
right,
down.
though. You look at what the atmosphere was like in Thompson-Boling Arena yesterday for the women's game. I think that, okay, bring that environment this weekend. And this is an out-of-conference opponent and a ranked opponent. I think this is the big time that you, against a Big 12 conference team that's playing some really good basketball.
Yeah.
Big 12 is a good conference right now when it comes to hoops.
Sankey
Show 'em
called
up.
it out. Yeah. Who was it? Was it Sankey that called him out? Most of the championships coming out of the Big 12 or the ACC. It's like, we want one out of the SEC.
When it comes to hoops.
Yeah, when it comes to hoops. Yeah, I mean, they can't play with us in football. When it comes to hoops, so ask the ACC about it. I mean, they still hadn't tweeted out the final score from the Orange Bowl.
Yeah,
as far as
Clemson
What's the
still
ACC?
has not posted the tweet of the final score.
What is the ACC?
I was trying to figure that out because
Okay.
we beat their best team, and they still hadn't tweeted out the final score of the game. Clemson.
Maybe I missed it. I don't know. I didn't know what the score was.
Maybe it was in a small fine print
Maybe
at the
it
bottom
was.
of the tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way,
If TCU can put out the final score of a game where they just got absolutely blitzed, 65-7, then you should be able to tweet out the final score.
Yeah, 100%. Put that pride to the side.
And we would criticize Tennessee for doing it too.
Yeah, 100%. You got to own it, right? Like,
Right.
post that score. But either way, this Big 12 SEC matchup this entire weekend, the biggest game is the UT and Texas game. So why not embarrass them? It's the way I see
That's
it.
what I look at.
And they, what was
Texas.
it, 52-50 last year?
It was a missed buzzer beater by Josiah Jordan-James.
Ooh,
Run it back.
I'm saying Josiah's going to have a big game.
And then
I'm
from
calling it
then
right
on
now.
out last season, that's when Josiah became that all-SEC player for that team and kind of took over a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think his emergence back on this team, it's such an interesting conversation around basketball because I feel like people treat shooting percentage and field goal percentage like it's always luck. Like the conversation around basketball so often is like, well, they just made shots. Yeah, like you get credit for making shots.
You do.
Josiah Jordan-James makes Tennessee a better shooting team.
Yes, he does.
He's a really, really good shooter from all three levels. Inside, he makes the tough twos. He's great in the mid-range game, which Rick Barnes relied on more in his earlier career, including some of his time earlier at Tennessee than he does now. And he's a great three-point shooter. I like Josiah to have a good game tomorrow, too.
I would, too.
Get those threes going.
And Vescovy also, like he's got to be able to open up with it. The thing I appreciated about it this past week, though, against Georgia, the three ball was not going in at all early. I'm talking about it was a struggle to get it going, and the guys kept shooting. But not only that, they played good defense to be allowed those. The second chance rebounds was big for them against Georgia, and their ability to get to the paint. Biggs played big, too, this past week. So against Texas, put the emotions back. Let the crowd do all of that. I want this game because it's one of those teams, too. Barnes' former team, but you got a big name walking into TBA, and you got to answer that bell because you did not do that against Kentucky.
At UK.
Oh, no.
Throw it your way.
I got ice in it.
You got ice in it. A cold water board is what you're going to get here.
It's the Will Levis song.
Have it your way.
You rule.
It's the Will Levis song. At UK, throw it your way.
Sure, he did that against Ole Miss,
No,
didn't
at
he?
UK, throw it away.
Throw it away.
My homeboy Sean going to be hot.
Go to break.
He's Kentucky.
Go to break.
We'll talk NFC Championship. And,
Go to break.
Yeah, we'll do that right now on Ramon Kayla Will, 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon Foster for Window Nation, and it's home show season, and Window Nation is bringing the home show savings to you, where you can get 0% interest financing for 60 months. That's 5 years, no interest, plus 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. All of this without leaving the comfort of your home. You can go to windownation.com/home show and try their free virtual visualizers, meaning you can upload a picture of your home and view hundreds of window options on your home. And if you like to be on the phone and just call in and talk to people and get all the details, guess what? Call 866-90-NATION to speak to someone. And why get new windows? Well, first and foremost, you save up to 30% on your heating bills and increase the value of your home and the look of it, too. Me, personally, I like those black windows, man. I wish I can put them on my house right now, but not right now. Either way, might end up getting them real soon because I can pay no interest for 5 years. Plus, I can buy 2 windows and get 2 windows free on any style from Window Nation. There's no limit to it. And you save thousands on your new windows and energy bills while upgrading the look and feel of your home. Again, go to windownation.com/home show. Again, windownation.com/home show, or call 866-90-NATION. And be sure to tell them that Ramon sent you.
Fourth and final hour of the show, Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. The phone number, 615-737-1045. College game day tomorrow in Knoxville. Lots to discuss on that coming up next week on Monday before we are fully focused on the football Volunteers and the other Senior Bowl prospects down in Mobile. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
So the question in the NFC Championship game I want to ask you guys is, who has the better supporting cast around their young quarterback? Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts, because two offenses that are terrific around young QBs who have been really good. One of them's the MVP. One of them's the Rookie of the Year. Are you taking A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert? Or are you taking Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle?
Jeez. Well, I mean, what better group of talent do you want from either one of them? The answer is yes, but to give you like a real answer on who's what, because Miles Sanders is nice, and so is Christian McCaffrey. I look at Jalen Hurts, and I also look at Brock Purdy, and I say I'm taking Hurts. But Brock has been hot.
Me too. Yes.
And then you talk about Ayuk or Deebo versus AJ. Like, they're all running in the same exact circles of talent, right? So if I'm picking one that I trust more, I'm taking Philly, though.
Okay.
Just because more so of...
Because, honestly, hearing AJ be a little bit of a diva, also the fact that Devontae can be sneaky and just get down the field on you, stretch the field wide open on you, and the running game with that offensive line, like, that's the other component of it, too, is like the consistency in which Philly's OL plays, or the fact that the escapability of Jalen Hurts, I think, makes his weapons more dangerous than Brock Purdy's is.
I would say I would tend to agree with you.
Okay.
Except for if George Kittle can be George Kittle.
I agree.
In this game.
Totally agree.
And that's where it may change for me.
Yep. Because that's that down the middle defensive side of the ball, offensive side of the ball that he has on lock. Mm-hmm. And he's a mixed match nightmare for any DB or linebacker.
Well, and I think once you get in the top 2 or 3 tight ends in the NFL, isn't that basically just like having another number one wide receiver?
Yes.
Travis Kelce and George Kittle, I think, are the two guys who are wide receiver ones. I mean, because to me, it's those two and then everyone else.
And depending on who Waller has thrown to him.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And Dallas Goedert is probably leading that second tier of tight ends.
Yeah.
He's really, really good. But, I mean, you look at what Kittle does and what he can do with the ball in his hands. I think George Kittle, when totally healthy, is the best tight end in the league.
I say that, and we got the guy in Kansas City that's just as good as him, too.
They're right. Almost sometimes I forget, like, they're different people. I'm not going to lie.
No, for real. Geez, who am I taking? I got Philly because I like the whole makeup of the team. I like their attitude. But it's crazy because you got an all-pro linebacker and Fred Warner on the other side of the ball, too, with an all-pro safety.
I'm taking the Niners defense for sure.
You taking the Niners defense?
Absolutely, I am.
I am, too.
Leading the league with 20 interceptions, Nick Bosa rushing the passer.
Yeah.
They've only allowed they have only allowed 77 rushing yards per game. And they have not allowed a 100-yard rusher all season. That feels like the recipe to beat Philadelphia. It's why I'm sticking with my pick I made at the beginning of the playoffs. I like San Francisco to win the NFC.
You like San Francisco?
I'm sticking with Kansas City over San Francisco. Sticking with dancing with who brung me.
I picked the Eagles, so I'm not going to.
But if you had to repick right now, who you got?
I think overall and in Philly, I'm still going to go with Philly.
You're still going to go with Philly. That's where I'm at too. And Brock Purdy's the X factor for me, as in he's the one I'm determining this win or loss on. That defense that Philly has is going to create havoc. It's going to create a whole bunch of issues for a guy like Brock Purdy that's got to get outside the box. And I thought he did well against the Cowboys and whatnot, but I think they have a better rush understanding and a better push up the middle, too. That's the one thing about Dallas. Dallas has to change out their defensive tackles, the interior guys, to rush the passer. Philly doesn't. Javon Hargraves, if I'm not mistaken, has double-digit sacks or close to double-digit sacks. Where's Hargrave at?
Yeah,
on the
that
season?
pressure comes from all sides of the defense.
Hargraves, a D tackle / nose tackle, has 11 sacks on the season.
Dang.
He rushes well. I saw this in person because he was my practice buddy somewhat too. And then you got Hassan Reddick that we don't speak about.
And he really should have probably been
Truth.
a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year.
I know.
He was outstanding.
No doubt. You want to hear something that's interesting about this team, this Philly team? And I know sacks ain't the end-all, be-all. It's the measuring stick in which we say a guy's a good rusher or not sometimes, right? Brandon Graham, 11 sacks on the season. Fletcher Cox, 7 sacks on the season. Josh Sweat, 11. Reddick, 16. And also Hargraves with 11 himself. That's a crap ton of production, y'all.
Don't forget Brett Kern over there.
Oh, yeah.
Weapon.
So
Titans
that doesn't sway you over to Philly?
Like a remote.
I'm trying to get Will over here to
Yeah.
the
No,
dark side.
I think this is the right kind of defense to stop Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. And I think playing at home in this game helps you until it doesn't.
Okay.
And until Jalen Hurts is going to have a lot of pressure in front of that home crowd. I mean, Brock Purdy in San Francisco have nothing to lose.
They don't.
Nothing to lose. And they've been there in this moment more than this Philadelphia core has. I do think it's interesting, though, when you talk about the Eagles' run defense, and when the Titans played in Philadelphia, that was the big talking point.
Yeah.
Was they're bringing in Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh to shore up the run defense, and maybe you're catching the Eagles at the wrong time because they'd been gashed so badly by Washington that they had to address that. Well, when you look at the numbers and the difference of before and after they got Linval Joseph, there's a huge difference in this run defense.
Going which direction, Will?
Better. From weeks 1 through 10, the Philadelphia run defense had a defensive success rate of 54%. That was last in the NFL against the run. After they got Linval Joseph, from week 11 on, 65% success rate against the run. That's good for second in the league. So the advanced stats tell you that they went from last to second in run defense in the NFL when they added Linval Joseph.
Wow. What's crazy is Linval Joseph's stat line, even all that crazy since then. He's been here for 8 games, 8 starts, half a sack, and 20 total tackles on the season. He's just a run stopper. Sue's in the same conversation. I remember when they signed him. What was it before? After the Titans? Right before, if I'm not mistaken. But in that, you see guys, and Linval is a big dude, 34 years old, playing at a high level as far as the run game goes. And I think when we look at what Rand Carthon said, too, in his press about this is a running game, too, or run league, you have to be able to. It's also been having the ability to stop the run in these situations, too. That's been the biggest, determining factor is looking at Buffalo, they couldn't stop the run. You know what I'm saying? And that's what eliminated them from the playoffs. Them investing in older guys. Sue is 35 and Linval Joseph is 34. Playing limited amount of reps just to stop the run and make you a one-dimensional passing team. And they got one of the best passing defenses in the league, Will.
They do, and they're going up against an offensive line that's healthy this time around in San Francisco. That was the big issue they had against the Rams last year. Aaron Donald wreaked havoc on that offensive front. Von Miller wreaked havoc on Jimmy Garoppolo and that entire offense, really, for San Francisco a year ago in that NFC Championship game. And Trent Williams was playing through a high ankle sprain. He's healthy this time around.
Wow.
You got McGlinchey on the right side. Wasn't healthy last year, didn't play.
Nope.
Was out with an injury at right tackle. They feel like that is one of the best pass-protecting offensive lines now in the entire league in San Francisco.
And that's why Brock Purdy is in such an awesome position right now. And I'll give credit to Mr. Teaspoon Boy because, look, he's made the most of it, right? He's not just sitting in there saying, I have all of this around me, I'm just going to go sit there. He's doing what he needs to do, and give him a lot of credit for that. I can't even imagine the talk and the narrative if he takes this team to the Super Bowl, being the first rookie ever, I believe, to do so.
Yeah. And supported by a defense, too.
And that's the other thing. He's got that on that side.
He does. They're giving up 16.3 points per game. That's number 1 in the league, y'all. That is, and they got a kicker too, and Robbie Gould, whose clutches ever within 50. Gold, yeah, it's Gould or Gold?
Gold.
I know it's spelled like Gould.
It's spelled like Gould, but they
Jan
have
Levinson Gould.
also when we speak about just probability, 49ers are 12 straight wins in a row.
Yeah,
it makes you nervous, or it makes you invincible.
Nervous from what perspective?
Betting's perspective, and also just going into the game a little bit too cocky. Either way.
I don't think so.
You don't. Confidence
I don't
high,
think
though.
too cocky.
Yeah.
They've been challenged in a lot of those games. They were challenged by the Cowboys.
They were.
Really, for a lot of that game.
They were 19-12 win for them.
And that's the thing. People keep asking the question, well, when is Brock Purdy going to have a rookie moment? If you watch those games closely, he's had some rookie moments already.
No, he has.
He's missed a lot of throws. He's covering up those mistakes because he has as big of a margin for error as any quarterback in the National Football League.
Yes, he does.
He's got a lot around him. I just read this stat. The Eagles had 70 sacks this season, 15 more than any other team.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good, isn't it?
It's
Pretty good.
Pretty good. This is by far the best two teams on the NFC side. Not even close. Dallas wasn't ready for that, though.
Honestly,
Dak wasn't.
As much as we love Cinderella stories and as much as we love in March Madness when Loyola Chicago, well, not us here, but as much as the rest of the country loves it when Sister Jean and Loyola Chicago go on runs and Florida Gulf Coast and George Mason, give me the Blue Bloods in the Final Four when we get there.
Yeah.
I don't want to see a game between a no-name team and Duke in the Final Four when I can get this. And I think these are the four best teams in the NFL that are in the Final Four without question. And they have been over the last 2 months of the season.
Yes, they have been. And the same to me goes for the AFC too. As much as we're gonna blow up Buffalo and what they did and how capable and what they should have did, Cincy was just better. Kansas City is just better also. These two teams, although earlier in the season I didn't see San Francisco doing this, considering they lost both quarterbacks. But that says a lot about team structure. It says a lot about team build and also somewhat philosophies, too, when it comes down to what is our thesis that we're doing well.
Making the most of what you have.
100%, Kayla. And not just that, the players, too. All right. I don't know how much credit we need to give for Brock Purdy other than the fact that his results say you're not supposed to be doing this. But that also goes to his support staff. Like, if he didn't have Trent, what is he under pressure?
Right. It's a good question. And honestly, it's a conversation we'll have next week. But in a lot of ways, this offseason, the theme of it for the Titans is going to be the 49ers model is your model as long as Ryan Tannehill's your quarterback.
Yes.
Because if you're not willing to be bad enough, like Brandon Beane of the Buffalo Bills was saying in his press conference earlier this week, if you're not willing to be bad enough to go get a top 10 quarterback in the draft, then you've got to surround Ryan Tannehill or whoever else is that quarterback with a San Francisco level of weapons. And Ryan, I would say, Ryan is much more experienced. Ryan is Ryan's not Brock Purdy.
No.
But if you're going to reset after Ryan, and if you're going to spend a second, third, fourth round pick on someone you want to develop starting now, whether that's Malik Willis, whether it's, Jake Haener at Fresno State in this draft, whoever it is.
Right.
You're going to have to follow the 49ers model, and it's a good thing you just hired their director of pro personnel.
Yep.
I feel Buffalo's GM, too.
Did you listen to that press conference?
I didn't listen to all of it. I saw the headline of it, and how it's understood to me is I feel that I don't know if I can handle that much losing to get a player like that.
The exact words, just to reset it for those of you who aren't familiar, is Brandon Beane, the general manager of the Bills. His exact quote was, I would love to have a Jamar Chase, but we're not willing to suck enough to get Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Those are his exact words. My issue with that is he made the statement that, we're paying Stephon Diggs a lot of money. You know who you wouldn't have to pay a lot of money? Jefferson. Because that's the guy who was drafted with the pick that you traded to Minnesota to get Stephon Diggs. So I don't want to hear it.
That's fair.
You chose to try to win now and not take the risk of, is this first-round receiver going to be better than the alternative, which is Stephon Diggs? And you could have had a lot cheaper wide receiver who's better.
Well, he's about to get broke off too, though. But
but your window would have been open longer.
I get why you go get Diggs. Diggs is that good. At that moment, he was ascending to like top 5 in the league, if not top 3 right now. So it's paid off for both sides. But as far as budgeting and building a team, yes, he's right.
Because
you're right.
From that perspective, John Robinson made the right decision to trade A.J. Brown.
But the production hadn't been the same as Jefferson, though.
Well, of course. But I'm saying from the Brandon Beane perspective and from the Vikings perspective, who won the trade, you would say, yeah.
They won the trade?
Yes.
I almost look as 50-50 on this one.
Justin Jefferson is better, and he was cheaper for longer. Like, they had a rookie deal for longer.
Both of them have actually exited in the same round or a round before, though, as far as what's been the end-all results. Are you saying that the Bills with Justin Jefferson are still playing right now?
I don't know.
Because that's the measuring stick I'm looking at right now.
I think it's more of a
both are
Josh
out.
Allen issue.
You think it's a Josh Allen issue?
I agree.
Wow. We're criticizing Josh Allen. I'm here for that.
Yeah, of course.
Why not? We gave him all the
He
praise.
led the league in
I'm
interceptions.
with you. I'm with you on that one. That's to me. I feel Brandon Beane because I'm like, to actually want to intentionally lose or to have something catastrophic to where you lose your franchise guy to pick number 3. That's a long season and a potential firing too.
Yeah, but look at the number 1 wide receivers who are left. Devontae Smith was a middle of the first round pick.
Okay.
That one's fair. A.J. Brown, second round pick. Debo Samuel, second round pick. His own guy who they dropped a bag to, Stephon Diggs, 5th round pick.
Who's Kansas City's number 1?
Kansas City's number 1
Kelsey.
would be Juju Smith-Schuster, first round pick.
No,
second round pick.
second round.
Second round pick. Juju Smith-Schuster. There you go. Sky Moore, day 2 guy. I mean, like, you can find value at the wide receiver position outside the first round, outside of the action figure top 10, top 15 picks. I mean, Corey Davis was a top 10 pick. He's not a number 1 wide receiver.
Nope.
That's true.
He's a good number 2.
2/3 almost.
By the way, what was Kelsey?
Kelsey?
He's
was
obviously
a
a tight end,
second
but
round. If
I'm just
not
curious
mistaken.
because
Heck, it might be.
literally, like, that guy is the one that at points has
Second
saved
round in
games.
2013, 39th overall.
Okay.
Yep, out of Cincy.
And tight end's a tiny bit different.
It
Because
is.
you can find value there.
No,
right,
absolutely.
later
But
on.
he's been just.
Oh, of course. And George Kittle definitely wasn't. He wasn't
No.
that high. That's the thing is Brandon Beane is right in a lot of ways, but at the same time, nobody put a gun to his head and made him pay Stephon Diggs like 15% of their salary.
But where they were and the assistance that Josh Allen needed, I think having a veteran number 1 and unprecedented number 1 helped that, though. So it's Cousin. Who's made who better? Has Cousins made Jefferson better, or has Jefferson elevated Cousins at this point? Because that's the conversation.
Jefferson has elevated Kirk Cousins.
Okay. But
Absolutely.
they've gotten almost nothing out of it. And that's what sucks about it even most. Like, we're looking at 2 organizations that's probably, and to your point, Kayla, about it being more Josh Allen and his, deciding factors down the game where he don't make good decisions. Like, that's a hard conversation to have with your franchise guy. Like, look, what else do you want from us? And his O-line was very porous against Cincinnati. They gave up a lot of just leakage to where he couldn't complete passes.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been either.
No.
I mean, they got to do their job. Absolutely.
They do have to do their job. But that conversation about getting a high number 1 wide receiver, I'd almost want to trade for a guy than to be that bad and risk losing my job, though.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, there are more than one ways to construct this thing.
It is.
New England didn't have a good pick for a long time, but they had Tom Brady. I mean, like, that's the thing. Kansas City has Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Like, once you find the quarterback that can raise the level of everyone around you, this thing gets a lot easier.
That's what they're
Cincinnati has
supposed-
Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow.
Exactly.
Lifted an entire
But
franchise.
he also got T. Higgins and Boyd, too.
Fair.
Yeah.
And if he didn't have those, would Joe Burrow be who he is now?
He did
Probably
in year
not.
1. You don't.
Not to the no, hold on. To the level that he's currently at, that's a really high level.
Yeah.
What sucks, though, too, is now teams is chasing for that Joe Burrow. And I don't think that's a natural thing to do. If that's the natural thing to do, I don't think that's the right thing to do.
Are you chasing for that Joe Burrow, or are you chasing for a franchise quarterback?
Right.
Because Joe Burrow, I think, is in Patrick Mahomes' territory to where he's even more than a franchise quarterback. I know that sounds silly, but Patrick Mahomes is going to go to the Hall of Fame, continuing his trajectory. And if Burrow continues his trajectory, he's going into the Hall of Fame.
So let's be real about this real quick. I know we're up against it. How many teams actually believe their guy's going to win them a Super Bowl? If we're taking percentages of the league.
You'll never get an honest answer.
30% of the league? really believe they have a
that
chance,
their quarterbacks.
it's going to take them to a Super Bowl.
A lot of the league has convinced themselves that if they build a big enough team around whomever they have at quarterback, that they've given themselves a legitimate chance.
Quarterback, most overrated position in some cases.
No. It's the most properly rated position.
Because the importance of holding the ball every single time?
Yes.
Because you can make decent players really good around you.
You want to know the biggest difference between Joe Burrow and Allen in that playoff game?
What?
When Joe Burrow needed to throw it 5 yards to help move the chains, he threw it 5 yards.
Decision making.
I think
Joe Burrow's decision making. And yes, there are games, there are times when he throws a lot of interceptions.
Yep.
Every quarterback that's ever played has had those moments. But what makes Joe Burrow so good is he's willing to do the check down, willing to make the smaller play, willing to just keep the chains moving. And I think there are times in this league, the obsession of the long ball or the obsession of the chunk plays, which you need to have, by the way, lose sight of keep getting first downs, keep moving.
Because in my eyes, like Joe Burrow is built so different. It's never about, oh, I got to do this. It's like, just do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And it's like Josh Allen, I feel like he's just got to feel like he's got to do everything bigger, and it's coming back to haunt him.
Because Josh Allen has Brett Favre syndrome.
A little bit.
How many rings Favre got? He got two or one? He only got one.
Right.
Is that Aaron Rodgers?
No, wait. Two? No, yeah, one against New England.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers in the
has
same
one.
boat too?
Different style of ball, but
Yeah.
But to Kayla's point, you got to carry everything for everybody?
Rodgers wasn't as mistake prone as Favre.
That's what I said, a different style of ball.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. We'll wrap up the show coming up next. Get to the headlines we missed and get you on your way. A little bit closer to the weekend. Coming up next, Ramon, Kayla, and Will, 104.5 The Zone.
It's Ramon Foster for Craftsman on the Hill, one of the best bars around, located at 3424 Lebanon Pike in Hermitage. Yes, that's right. This weekend's big football weekend, big basketball weekend, but guess what? You can go sit at Craftsman on the Hill and have some of the best bar food around, including their delicious smoked wings. But grab your burger, quesadilla, chicken tenders, don't matter what you're going to have. And it's about to be cold again. No, it's already cold outside. So get some of their smoked brisket chili served every single day. And today is Friday. So go pick you up one of those catfish plates or sit at the bar, have a drink, watch a game or two, and relax. Every single night they have something for you. Heck, tonight might be a poker tournament going on, but there's the perfect place to support your college team any day of the week, or Two-Tone Blue also when they're playing. Plenty of TVs to watch your favorite sports shows and sports teams. Best thing is it's locally owned and operated with new management. Everything from your favorite beer, spirit, plenty of nightly drink and food specials Monday through Sunday. Craftsman on the Hill, 3424 Lebanon Pike in Hermitage. And be sure to tell them that Ramon sent you.
Join 104.5 The Zone and hundreds of other brave souls across the state for the coolest thing you'll do in 2023. Maybe the coldest. The 23rd Music City Polar Plunge coming up Saturday, February 25th at Nissan Stadium. Whether you jump or just put your toes in, no, you got to jump. You'll be helping us build a bigger, better, and cooler community for 17,000 plus Special Olympics athletes. For more info or to register, visit specialolympicstn.org/polar plunge today.
My toes are frozen just thinking about it.
No, man.
Thinking about being
Ramon,
that
you
cold.
were cold today.
I'm still cold right now.
cold.
I think I'm on the cold side of the studio.
One final segment this morning.
Yeah,
Ramon
I'm
Kayla
fine.
Will.
I feel good.
I'm going to do the polar plunge, man.
I'll be cold for 4 days after that polar plunge.
I really would be.
Yeah.
Bring some waterproof hair gel.
So if somebody does the polar plunge with like cold water diving suit on, does that still count?
Well, Buck wore his peach tracksuit last year for the polar
That
plunge.
ended up
He
getting
did?
leaned later.
Yeah, he did. He wore his tracksuit with the hoodie and like the
Oh,
pink
I know what
sweatpants.
it is.
Oh yeah.
That would make it even worse right there.
Look, Buck makes sure to know that we know what he's wearing when he's at games.
I mean, somebody's gonna try to finesse it with us.
Look,
with a wet.
Look,
You
I
guys-
jumped in there with my pink tracksuit and it was really cool.
You guys don't
Lucas
like
gonna make me
the
do it
purple suit.
Oh, me?
The
I despised him wearing the grimace
okay.
suit.
So why is that? Because I'm a big fan of plum.
Are you really?
My fingernails are plum
Look,
right now.
It looks great on Tehran. Does not look great on
good.
Buck.
Even when he's lost the weight.
And look, Buck's looking good.
Yeah,
He is.
Buck's
He's
making
lost
it
the weight,
happen.
looking good.
Slim King.
Homie's looking good, dropping
Slim
over
King.
40 pounds,
Yeah,
looking like Paddington Bear this morning.
Them boys.
Feel me? It's just warm and fuzzy.
But Buck, why do you insist on wearing the plum suit?
Well, I look. I'm doing a thing, all right? I'm doing a thing, Lucas. Okay, easy. Just let me live. 615-737-1045 if you want to tell me what I look the
Does he have
best.
an impression of you?
Oh, I'd love to hear that.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Oh, that was good. That was really good.
He thought it was
Keep
him.
going.
I have no idea.
mad.
He is him.
No, I'm not mad at all. I'm not mad at all. I literally wanted you to keep going.
No, the way you went, keep going. I was
All
like,
right,
oh,
wow.
Will just got big mad.
Okay.
Will shows his emotions on his face big
Oh,
time.
no, I legitimately wasn't mad. I'd be more quiet right now if I was mad.
You know how I know you're mad? Because you're saying you're not mad.
Emergency
Oh,
alert.
God. We got the psychology major over here.
Absolutely living.
Social major. I'm a social
Okay.
major.
No, my
Okay.
impression was more of a different personality.
Yeah.
Yes, it was. That's why I was. That's why I was
okay.
quiet.
Know how I know you're mad?
Okay.
Shafe was doing an impression of me doing an impression.
That's
what
right.
that
That's
was. That's why I was quiet.
on
Anyway,
a
no,
boy.
I would like. Now you, I hate to do this, but I would like Buck's purple suit a lot more if you wore socks with dress shoes like an adult.
You know who else doesn't wear socks? I peeped it, and I've seen it numerous times. Vrabel.
No,
He's a
yes,
suit, no
you're
sock
right.
guy.
He
Yeah,
is a suit, no
100%.
sock.
No socks to the press conference.
Vrabel looked like I'm gonna say
Ran
this sounds so
Carthon.
violent. Vrabel looked like he wears no socks so he don't get blood on his clothing when he stomp people out. Like he was like
After that, I stopped actually.
yeah, you feel me? Like
Yeah,
just
man.
stomp people out with them 14s he got on, man.
I'm okay doing like a nice shirt with like the slim pants and no show socks with like
The
nice
no-show
shoes.
socks.
But when you
Buck wears the no-show.
but when
Oh,
you
he
go
does.
Are they no shows?
That's
Okay.
what he
Yes, he
tells
does.
me.
He does.
Every time
I
I
believe him.
talk to him about it, he says he wears the no-show.
But when you wear a suit,
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it.
You like the print, maybe a little print on the
Yeah,
socks?
do some fancy
Something
socks.
fun.
Get some stripes or polka dots in there.
I got some loafers, some driver loafers.
And that's acceptable,
And
but
with
not
no
with
socks?
but not with a suit.
well with no socks
for me.
though. Like I can't find a 14 size no show sock.
Well,
Do you wear Crocs with no socks?
Hardly ever unless I'm around the crib.
Okay.
I'm Crocs with socks out here.
we are back at it again Monday morning, recapping conference championship weekend. Tennessee, I should say UT in Texas.
Oh.
Tomorrow in
Yes.
Thompson Bowling Arena, and Ramon Foster sends you on your way, whether you're wearing socks or not, about what you need to do around Nashville and beyond this afternoon.
Socks with Crocs and also socks with flops is all right with me. But you must please remember that your Twitter fingers and your
Socks
mouth
with
is
flock?
always hot.
You're a
Flops?
poet.
Excuse
Yeah.
me? Socks with flops and socks with Crocs.
Have it your way.